I'm not going to be building full maps on these cryptos, but I am going to be just pointing out, and I'm going to try to get better at this more rapid fire method. Please be patient. Sometimes I can't just immediately see if something is strong or healthy. I'm looking at it a few different ways, and then I'm trying to find the best way to explain my words or what's coming out of what I'm trying to say. Here's Brett. Some of them I already have maps on. The map I have for Brett is on Gate.io. Hold on. The map I have for Brett is on Gate.io. This is currently has been our major oscillation, currently downward at the moment. And then we broke into the smaller oscillation into a period of health. A smaller watch line needs to be broken for us to continue into that health, as I placed from our last video. I don't want to be primarily back into this area, so I like that we're building on top of this area, and that's a good sign that there's health coming in. So that's something that was really interesting. In the more smaller or immediate chart, we can see that this crypto was trying to break underneath here, closer to November 4th and November 5th. And then, of course, on November 6th, we come right up back here, and then on the 7th, we're just still finding resistance under here. So is Brett ready right now for us to really take off? No. Brett needs to be, first, it does need to be on this side, so that's a good thing, but it also needs to overcome its smaller oscillations. And if we find ourselves breaking underneath these oscillations that are in yellow, that tells us that primarily we may not be able to find support like we should. Generally, I want to stay up above here. I don't want to be breaking down here. But sometimes when those supports are really close, you'll see price spike into those areas, and that's common. If we look at a weekly chart, you may not even see it at all. You still see it on the weekly chart. That's good. That's not good. That's interesting. But you can't see this oscillation either. A little bit. Not so bad. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weaken this one by lowering the width. You can also weaken it by in your art by lowering the opacity. Some kind of way to just let your mind know it may not be as important. So that's going to be something. All right, now let's further. It appears this watch line right here is going to be still active and stronger. I'm just going to make that a little bit thicker. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit more. This watch line is the same angle as our key angle. We can just copy that angle and then bring it there. So for the most part, we're looking to now build or get some health or strength for Brett above these areas. So I'm just going to borrow this one and move it on top of this. So we need to be from here, and then we might have a chance to come back up. Let's continue out this area here. It looks like we're almost going to level out. So I'm just going to use a straight line, make it yellow and thick, and there's our leveled out parabolic. It's going to start leveling out about right here. Okay. All of these tops and bottoms, they still just continue out. Everything's almost the same price except for the floor. Well, I'll just leave that floor there. This floor right here comes down to 007. Okay, so all of this is about the same. All right, we last left off, there was some buying that happened here. Let's see if there was some strong increase in volume on the down move here. Not so much on the down move. I like this. I'm not going to put it past us to not be bullish, because the move in the macro is that we're going down and the volume's increasing. And if it's increasing on the down move after the health came in, that's generally a bullish sign. I want to read it now in context. Wow, that's very interesting because last time we were here, the volume was nilch. So the last time we're in this section, they were interested in it. But now, after it comes into health and it comes down, now it's being accumulated. That's a good thing. Now it appears that even as we're going down, that's now the money, they're starting to throw money at it. That's exactly how I would do it. That's exactly how I would do it. Okay. Wait for the health, let someone else take the risk. Once we come into health, if you get a good price, once you know it's a good price, then do it. It's like a baseball card. It may be worthless, but once it gets graded and it's proven to be authentic and you know you're getting a good deal, why not throw money at it? And the smart players, they do that. The big money. Let's talk about supply absorption. There was buying that happened here. We remember that on that down move. Some selling there. Low demand back here. So we should be, low demand back here. So the next buying should be here. So yeah, I'm going to conclude, I'm going to be more bearish, Brett. I'm still going to be more bearish, Brett, at the moment. we need to adjust some of these areas. So I'm going to draw a new angle for you guys, and then we'll move on. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to DP projection this, and then I'm going to draw, okay. So the DP projection is going to be here at the top, and this is going to be basically how high I'm expecting prices to go at the moment. If we get into bullish territory, it's going to be up here. Okay. So this number is dynamic minus, which means price will go down over time, but it's closer to the top side of that parabolic. So I'm going to be more bullish towards 11 cents. Current price is 9 cents. I'm still going to be bullish towards 11 cents, but more risking it probably to hit 12. I might take some profit at 11, maybe the rest at closer to 12 if I'm in Brett. I have a little bit of Brett too, by the way. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to discount this. I'm not going to discount the actual structure itself and this. So we're going to draw another resistance here. Since we rejected here, we're going to need to draw and connect these peaks to this structure here. So it's going to be one more trend line. Since I already used white, I'm just going to pick a different color real quick. I'll choose red. This is a daily chart. Should still work. No, I'll use ice blue. Okay. I got 1, 2 verification, 3. This is probably going to be an important trend line for Brett. So I'll put just a little bigger circle in my mind along the top track. I'm going to set an alert on that line. Price at strong key angle resistance. Okay. So I got alert set on that side. I will create the phantom from this. I'm not so expecting prices to hit this low, but if you guys want to have them, there they are. If things really turn sour, that's where we might be looking at 0.05 cents. And if things are going to turn bullish or positive, I'm going to be looking, let's borrow that one. Okay. I'm going to be looking to get a more stronger breakout at 10 cents. And then, yeah, do I have my alert on that smaller line? Yep. A Brett smaller watch line hit. All right. I set some alerts on here. Okay. Do I have any other questions for Brett? What we're looking for? What you're looking for? Yeah. Okay. Hey, did you eat the controller? Okay. All right. Got my little Nintendo Switch controller, but he loves to grab the controller and he bites the button off with the little button cap. I don't know why he doesn't. Going once. Armand, question? Let's look at BOME. Okay, we have limited data then, and I'm still going to say the same thing. When you see candles that don't make sense like that, be careful. They have low market cap. Big money can swoop in and change things up. Okay, not good. Not good. I'm not saying you can't trust the structures, but it's not good. Let's see if there was any other exchanges that may look better. BOME, short for Book of Meme. This one looks a little bit better. Crypto.com. We can use that one. Yeah, let's use that one. That's a good one. Yeah. A lot better. I like that as we're coming down, the volume's ramping up on the weekly chart into health. That's going to be a good thing. We'll draw quickly that health on the weekly chart there. Let's do arrows today to denote. This one will be some buying. Okay, buying coming in. Here's a 2-day chart. We have a very strong up bar on ultra high volume at the top, followed by down move, not into weakness or strong weakness. The current strength still stands, or the current health still stands from the foundational areas. That's a good thing. You found support along that track. That's a good thing. This may be selling. If there's some selling going on here, let's make that one black. So if there's some selling happening here, we want to compare this volume with the previous VZB area, okay, or the previous prices in those areas within that block. It's going to be this right over here, just quickly. And we can see that last time that we were here, we also had ultra high volume up bars. And now I'm seeing this. If I'm seeing the volume, there was some selling followed by a down bar on really high volume. We're going to put those as a pair into weakness. There's some heavy selling that happened here. So I'm going to mark heavy selling. Okay, I'm just going to, just for my notes. So if I have heavy selling here one time, and then we move into health with some buying coming in, on the down move, or as a whole, and then we come up here again, we should expect some higher volume, and we do, and it's still about the same. So that's going to tell us primarily price is not ready to go up. So at this moment, I'm going to be still looking for the next areas of weaknesses until we can actually move into a price that might be more healthier. Okay, now I am going to do something. I'm going to draw this with a different color, and I'm going to try to see if I can collect all the points, see if I can find the best resistance. I believe it's going to be there. I'm getting about a core, a wick, a wick. I'm going to say I want to look for health once we're really above here. Okay. If there's too much supply at the top, they're going to bring it down and just wait until the supply is absorbed again, or more accumulation at lower prices. If they keep seeing that, sometimes you'll just see them immediately bring weakness into the chart again, and then we come back down to previous lows. So I'm going to say that some of the most important parts of this chart are going to be down here, possibly to this flat. Is this? Where's my price labels? Okay, probably 0.05. I'm going to be looking for health above 0.93. So I want to make sure prices are getting up there first before I'm really throwing some money at this crypto myself, or buying some of this crypto. I probably want to be more secure. Make sure that supply is really gone. Make sure it's not an active selling campaign. Yeah. Yep. Don't be surprised if they test it one or two more times. If we come along this track and they test it and then we have very low volume, then look for a health to strike. But they're not going to strike until they know they can beat their opponent. That makes sense? I think that's a better way to explain it. The watch line right now, that's the support. If you guys are buying it anyway, it's closer to 0.07. So I'll leave that there. Any questions for BOME? Not interested in it just at the moment. Questions, comments, BOME. I don't see it in active buying right now. Okay, so this is a crypto called Ponke. Okay, lack of interest, market coming to a head, small spreads, moves into health. We move up, increase in volume, up bars, ultra high volume, move into weakness, some selling. So this was our first area of active selling. However, the spreads are getting wider as well. So that's good. So it's some selling. Market's going too fast, needs to cool off. This is your flats should be active. Therefore, a lot of supply on the way up, but we still move up. Supply check. Yeah, too much supply. We come up again further. See this ultra high volume? It was on this candle, so the VZB is actually here. When we test it again, it's still high. Price isn't ready. We challenge one more time. The supply is getting absorbed. We come down. They're not interested in the sell, but when we come down again, now we're up. Now we're above these areas. They're not interested in getting out or taking profit. We come back to this area, the old VZB or the old area, and now all the supply has been absorbed. All the supply is gone. So it's a lot cheaper to push it up. So if the market's going up here because of basic harmony, it's not actively being sold. It comes down, lack of interest. We come up again. There's still a lot of supply. It's not ready to be pushed. Not ready to be pushed. Now it's ready to be pushed right there on whatever date that was, May 5th. And then you get the break. Classic supply absorption. In this context, it's harmony. This is the stuff I'm talking to you guys about. Like, you have to remove that supply before you really launch a strong campaign. Lack of interest. Supply absorbed. That's a bullish thing. Okay, now the foundational area for this one is actually two-part. One here. Let's see if we can get that a little bit more accurate. Somewhere right there. And then the other, we're going to worry about this top there. That's a different angle. Okay. So we can see that this bottom is still being respected. Let's see if we can adjust it now. Yeah. So this is a good thing for this crypto. We are still in this uptrend, and that's very interesting. Let's go to a 2-day chart. This one has my attention. Let's see. Let's do a little bit more. This isn't exactly a flat. Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's stretch this puppy out. Okay. Is this the oscillation? Let me double check this. I'm gonna test it really quick with Tiger. Things going my way. One moment, these things are getting in my way. There's a way to do this to turn off those. That's bothering me. I want to get rid of that. Oh, here, percentage, and I don't need the angle. Change in pips, price range. I don't need any of that. Yep. But you guys can just see the line moving. Okay. Okay, I have no verification. Oh, I do have 1, 2. Okay, so those aren't all active yet. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Okay, so I'm going to put a resistance out here in the future. Yeah, this is some tight trading range. Okay, I'm just going to label this real quick. Tiger. Okay. I just want to read a few more things. And here's our lack of interest in the macro with small selling. This is us moving up without any gas. So we need to have a correction. There's the small selling right here. I'm not going to label that. Then we come down. Some buying happens here. And then no more interest, health. Come back down. Increase in volume on the down move. It's a small down move though. Very small, very little. So you can zoom in a little bit more. We go up. So where's my last selling? That was my last support. Oh, that's good. Okay. Yeah, I would be bullish this crypto up to this price right here, right now. That one, 97 cents. Currently it's at 48 cents. I want to be a little bit more bullish on this one. I'm not going to say I'm going to be bullish outside of this area just yet, but I can see that in this uptrend, we are really looking for, when I examine the supply primarily here and here, we can actually see that we're overcoming a lot of that supply. There's very little selling that happened, even though we were going higher. There's a lot of supply that's being removed from this line. And that's a good thing for higher prices. So if we're going to experience a breakout to the top side, we want to see that. And then we want to see some money coming in. The money that came in was here, and I'll point out the 2 places where new money came in so you guys can just mark it. On this down move here, there's some buyings coming in. And I'll just type that real quick. There and here. There was some money coming in here, followed by on this down bar and all of that right there, closer to here. Here again, we can see it in hindsight. See, right there. There's the increase, but look, the supply was being absorbed. Look at the direction of the volume. They challenge it 1, 2, and then we get back there a 3rd time, and where's the volume? They absorbed the supply. All that's left is for health to come into the market. Here's that break, here's the resistance, here's the health, there's the smaller sword cut. Prices are rounding on the sword cut. We should go up from here, and we did. So far, we have. See that? Okay. When we see this now, we're going to be fighting bullishly against this resistance. Now, when I do this and I do the tiger, it's testament to the resistance. That's a little complicated. It's found in Lesson Sword Method, lessons 1 through 17 right now. And the lessons where I talk about tiger analysis, it's called tiger analysis. But these give a testament to each other because the maps verify each other forward and backwards. So if I'm doing this angle right and it's giving me the 3rd points correctly, that tells me that the angles are correct. However, it doesn't mean that the angles are going to be the strongest resistance. It tells me where to look and where to read. So I'm looking along this track, and so far I can say that the volume along that resistance is drying up. I believe it is. I believe the volume's drying up. It's still strong, probably enough to reject it, but maybe 1 or 2 more times, and then we're going to be able to even crack this roof. So I'm going to say that this one's in my favor at the moment. I'm going to say it's in my favor at the moment. So if you guys are looking at Punky, we want to be a little bit, I want to be more bullish Punky, especially in a bullish market. Okay. One last thing about Punky, and I will explain. Okay. Let me get you these prices. Current price is 48 cents. I might risk it for the biscuit. Put a smaller alert on the upside, about right here, and I'll just put alert watch line. Let's give that a color that I'm not using. Let's use green. So I want prices to build above here. I might get some if we break above here at whatever price that is. And I might risk it for the final run or another run up to 97, and then I'll be watching it really closely because then I have a chance to break out. I'll be looking at USDT.D where its territory is, just getting a read on the market during those days when this happens. But if we break up this week, I'm going to be actually looking for the support. I'll make this really big and thick. Do I have any other questions about this crypto called Ponke? Okay. I'm going to draw real quick on this where I'm looking to get to. Take that trade. That's the one I want to take. I'm not telling you to take it. I'm just saying I want to get above there. Outcome. Alert. Okay, this one has my attention. I am bullish Ponke. Shorter term. Okay, let me add that to my list real quick. Let's look at our next crypto called Hoppy. And make sure I take a few more pictures of Ponke before I move to Hoppy. Let's look at this crypto, Hoppy. I thought Hoppy was supposed to do well around Easter time, right? Thank you. I'm here on Thursdays. Come. Alrighty. Don't you love our maps? It can help stack your odds in your favor. Let's see. All right. Here was our last big health we're looking for, where we're looking for health on top of this phantom line here. Here was the key angle on the bottom side. Come. This was denoted by the structures at that area. Okay. Here was the sword cut. This is a classic example. Look, just from a map perspective, this is the downward oscillation. Here's your key angle. There's the phantom on the bottom. We break into health, round structure right at the sword cut. The sword cut's created where we crack from that top. We break right there. Look, we hit it once, we hit it twice, and up we went. Here's the key angle. If there's going to be any more bullishness, it has to show itself on top of here. And sure enough, look at that structure. We got the breakout right here, and on top, then we continue going up. That's a beautiful thing. Our target that we had was here. We got stuck in that target for a little bit of time, and then up to the sky. So this one hopped away, and yeah, did really well. Good job. Anyone doing Hoppy? I hope you guys did well from our previous map. Did anybody do well in Hoppy? Triple J says Abba spoke it. Good. Mr. Easy, these are the cryptos we're doing today. On Hoppy right now. We're about to take a 15-minute break, and then I'll come back with these other cryptos here. Right now, I think Ponke is short-term bullish. It needs to be. We need to get another entry for it, but it's pretty good. Anyway, Hoppy's doing good. Let's examine that. Let's see right now. You guys are on. If you're in Hoppy, or you're still being in Hoppy, I hope you guys made some money with it using the map. I hope you guys are doing really good. Let's examine Hoppy. See if we can catch some of those moves. Sometimes they're in active accumulation, and we can see it. Let's see. All right, this one had on the down move. We started ramping up in the increase in volume, culminating to this down bar, and then we had a small move up. Came one more larger move down. Lack of interest in the VZB, which is this area. Went up. Here's your pushing volume right there on this bar in this candle, right at the downside. Push us into health. Alrighty. So right now that we're going up, we want to be looking where are they going to be taking profit. There's two things to worry about. Number one is when you see active selling, that's going to be ultra high volume bars on up moves, up bars, and up trends during an uptrend. The other thing you're going to be looking for, does anybody know the other thing we're looking for beside ultra high volume in an up move? Just as a quiz, as a little test, if we're in an up move, is there something else that we're going to be looking for? There's something else we're looking for in the volume primarily. So we know when prices we know it's a little bit danger. Anybody? Yeah, we're going to be looking for selling. Selling will be denoted by those ultra high volume bars that come in on the up bars. Because professional selling always has to happen on the up candles. In other words, in my white candles or in your green candles. Okay, if we see like really high volume, like on a small scale, like it looked like something like this, with candles that are closing near the middle on high volume, that could be denoting selling. But generally we want to see that in the macro. But in the macro, meaning as a whole, okay, there's something else we're going to be looking for to see if prices are going to reverse. What's the other big thing we're really going to be looking for? Anybody know what it might be? Here's a 2-day chart. Huh?
No demand?
Yeah, you're actually looking, it's very similar. You're looking for that volume to dry up, because if we're going up, okay, if we're going up, but somebody took their foot off the gas in the car, how long May you be going up. You'll look at the window, see, yeah, we're going up. But that somebody took their foot off the gas. You already know predictably what's going to happen next. This can't last forever. So when you see those kinds of things and you don't see any new money coming in, like a secondary accumulation, such as if we have a pullback, you can see more volume increasing on those moves. So here's like a small pullback. So let's go to a 12-hour chart just to examine those small pullbacks. So we see these pullbacks, and as I'm looking at them more closely on the down move and on the down bars, primarily the new money's not coming in. What about here? Here's the down bar. Maybe that one, some more money's coming in right now, but that could help us. But primarily we want to see ramping up of volume on those down moves. And if you don't see it, then you can say to yourself, how long is this going to go? So we look at this on a macro, and meaning the whole or the macro world instead of the macrocosm. In other words, the whole. Micro, like microscope, just to help you guys remember that, a little mnemonic. We look at the entirety of it, and we can see that, hey, we're going up, and the general flow is that somebody took their foot off the gas. In a simplistic sense, we're going up, someone took their foot off the gas. How long can we continue to go up? If we know that somebody took their foot off the gas, what can we do to help mitigate that so we know that when we can take profits when we're supposed to? Does anybody know what the next step we might be to take profit if we're in this? Yeah, that's right. We're going to draw the parabolic. Good job, Firecracker. We're going to be looking when weaknesses will come in, so we need to draw the map so we know where we can get a jumping off point so we can breathe. Because prices have to breathe just like we do. We exhale and we inhale. We can't just keep breathing out. It's great when we let out these powerful puffs of air. But how it looks on a chart is the movements up and down. And we can track the calculation of those curvatures, of that up movement, quite easily because we're good. Okay? We can track that up movement. In this case, it's going to be this parabolic. It's quite easy to see once you see it. And if you do it enough, you're going to get good at it. It's just art. We can see that the supports are along here. So I know that if I get underneath here, I have a higher odds of going down. Even if I'm coming up and I'm rounding down, and even if I spike all the way top, but especially if I'm getting resistance just like that. Just like when we were in this downtrend here, okay, that was the downtrend. Just because I'm here, I knew that once I was here, even if I'm coming back down, especially at the sword cut, I have a higher chances of going up. That's our whole method is called sword method. We're on sword method 6.0. We've been doing sword method now, I think 3 years teaching sword method. And I had the crude version of it since I was young, reading, trying to put this into a method, but for understanding technical analysis, understanding how to understand charts, how to teach it. And what you can see though, is with a higher degree of certainty or confidence, I know that if somebody took their foot off the gas, we're going up, somebody took their foot off the gas, I'm going to be waiting for weaknesses because we can't go up forever and ever. Okay, if I have reasons to buy it, maybe I'll buy it. But what I'm going to be doing now, once I see that really drying up comparatively or in relation to its entirety, if you look at the volume, we're at all-time highs, but who's participating? The party can't keep going forever if all the cool kids go home. Same deal. What you want to do is let this one rest and see if there's going to be another accumulation campaign or see where the next health or the next strength would come in. Now, my guess would be, and I'm just going to say this, if we moved into weakness, and I'm not saying we are, but if we did move down into weakness and this was a top, then we're going to draw an energy center here, connect those dots, bring them to the third energy center, which is here, and we're going to finding support somewhere along that track on whatever prices those are. That's where we'd be doing, because this is going to be your new key angle. This is going to be your phantom. This is where you place your phantom. We know that exactly. We just don't know the exact angle because we don't know if we're going to go down here or continue going up. But if we did, then I would have some strong round structure. I would have one strong, almost round structure, but it's more of a peakish. And then round structure here, large round structure, simple. 1, 2, 3. So we would know that there's support here. So I might want to say, if I'm going to buy it again, I'm going to buy it here. And then watch it go up, maybe, if there was a reason to buy it here. Okay. Now I can calculate if we're going to, but right now I'm not going to because we're doing a new rapid fire method. We're trying to give you guys some more content in a quicker manner. But that's the kind of things you can do when you read. And then I could tell you when you'd want to buy it, but we're not doing that today. Okay, if you guys want to do that, you need to talk to me. Just make sure you ask me, and I will have conversations with you about that. Okay. As it is, let's... Oh, hey, house. Oh, hot mic. Okay. As it is, let me just quickly read something real quick. I'm going to say there's selling coming into the market. Here, some selling coming in. Here in the same volume zone block as well, and even here. So of this, I'm going to be saying that I don't want to be into this crypto because the drop may actually be imminent. It's small selling. I need to denote that, right? But it's selling comparatively. So there's somebody's taking profits here at the market. Somebody. And they're wise. They're probably wise. So if I had Hoppy, I'm going to be looking to take some profit because I can see somebody's taking profits here. Okay. And I'm just going to put a little text box here. Profit taking appears to be happening in this uptrend as the volume is drying up. This makes price moving into weakness more likely. Look also to possibly take profit. Okay, so this one's going to be more risky. This one could do well, but it's going to be more risky for me to continue to watch this while no one's participating and also seeing short-term selling coming in. Okay, does that make sense? So this may need to come down, and I'm just going to give you that hypothetical as I did earlier by drawing a line with as accurate as I can. Okay, and I'll give you some prices. How about that? So you can never say I never did anything nice for you. So if you guys see Hoppy take a dip, primarily it's going to start at 00025. Okay, and we may get down to this lower territory. It's very possible. It's been on a run for so long. We hit all of your targets that we need to hit. We hit that upper one. We hit the lower one. We bounce on the sword cut. You guys should have made money with that if you guys were in Hoppy. And if you're in Hoppy right now, I'm giving you the opposite, letting you guys know what's more likely to happen next. Okay, so compare that with our old Hoppy maps, and you guys have done extremely well. Good job. Do I see it losing a 0? Yeah, it loses a 0 right here. Oh, lose a 0? No, I see it gaining a 0, Triple J. I don't see it losing a 0 right now. It could do well. It could do well, but I don't have it on my map. If it does well, it's gonna do well without me. It already had some health. I think it needs to cool down a little bit. I want to see another active accumulation. Do you think it's gonna lose a 0, Triple J? Yeah, the last buying was here. All right, so if you're taking notes, we're gonna move on to our next crypto. Let me just denote this. Large buying. Okay, back then, so you guys know. Now, I want to do something. I just wanted to look at this one more time. I wanted one other thing to say. When we see this down move here, and it's on large buying, comparatively, when I look for selling, I look for that same type of selling here. And because I don't have the major selling, okay, that means that I'm still bullish longer term in those higher prices. I'm still believing we're going to hit some higher prices in the future because it's only falling, not on the selling. It's falling on the lack of interest. So remember, as I said a few minutes ago, I say about maybe 10 minutes ago, when we first looked at this, we looked at this as on the macro as a whole. That means in its entirety, we're going up without gas. Small buying on the little smaller time frames, but that's not. Is that small buying that's here? Is it comparatively to these large moves? Sorry, this one's right here. Is it comparatively to these large moves? You have to sometimes see it. Sometimes it's a little bit here, a little bit. Let me show you real quick. Sometimes it's a little bit here, a little bit there. I changed the color. There you go. Sometimes it's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, and then you don't see it actually happening because it's so small. It is said about Sodom and Gomorrah that they would sin against the people in this way, that they would take a little bit there and a little bit there, and when they would protest, they said they would all say, hey, I only took a little bit, but everybody took a little bit until all the man was ruined. And here, this is what actually could be happening, but it has to generally take place with multiple challenges. Okay, so I try to compare when I see small selling coming in the market. I try to see how much selling is actually coming in. Is that selling comparatively to the whole? Okay, does that make sense? is the selling here enough to make me think it's equal to the buying that came in? Because if it's not equal, then more selling has to happen, and then we can go down. So sometimes we have to read that in its context, and then that could be the major sell. And if that's the case, then I'm really looking to get slammed down, or I'm really looking for it to fall. But remember, price can also fall just because of lack of interest in the whole, okay, which is in the macro. And that's what I see now. Therefore, that's why I'm looking for weaknesses. We may come up and challenge one more time. So I want to wait a little bit more until I have a reason to buy. At this time, I don't have a reason to buy. In this case, I actually have a reason to get out, unlike last time sitting on the sword cap. Okay. Triple J says, I hear the Lord saying bull run 1 cent. Let's put that in her notes. Good job. I hear, copy and paste it. Okay, anything else, Triple J, for this one? Ian says, will it hop or flop? Patrick says, maybe flop. I don't know. For me, the next health run, I think there needs to be a correction, and then I'll grade it then. Otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, I don't have another top for you guys at the moment. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a top for you at the moment. I'm not going to guess one. I don't have one here. Triple J says, it will have a breather. Okay. Maybe that's where we're at. Okay.
I had something I wanted to share on the message this morning. Everyone quotes fear of the Lord, and they quote at the beginning of wisdom, right? And most people. But the first reference in Proverbs to the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And we want to learn and not be deceived, even in the knowledge. So that's one observation. And the other is, well, we want to revere our elders and such, because natural wisdom comes with experience and age. But in my experience, it can come real early. Wisdom can come real early to people. And it's mostly if they've trained and studied and know the Word of God, and they have to read it, cover to cover. And so you can be pretty young and have a lot of wisdom. You fear the Lord and you've read the Word cover to cover. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Armand.
Oh man, that's true. That's very true. I think they'd done tests one time with children in school, and they got the children to read a portion of the book of Proverbs. Some class or something, they were reading so many verses from the book of Proverbs every day. And I think that class, that group of people had done better in their exams than the ones that weren't. Yeah, definitely. It was very vivid now, the dream was. I dreamt I was visiting my friend in Eastern Europe who happens to be a pastor, and he's married with 2 older children. Here's how the dream started now. The dream started, I was in a city in Eastern Europe, and the city had big, massive, wide streets. The streets were really wide. The way the streets are wide in Salt Lake City, you got the big, wide streets and footwalks. It was very easy to park, very easy to drive. And as I was walking up the streets, I noticed that the shops all looked kind of nice, and everything seemed nice about the city. And I said to myself in the dream, oh man, it's so nice here. I need to get here. I need to come here. I need to live here, kind of thing. And then in the dream, I went to visit my friend, and I walked up some steps to go up into his apartment to visit him. And when I went into his apartment, it was like a humble apartment. He didn't have too much stuff. It wasn't glittery or gaudy or anything. He just had the essentials. We just had some chit chat. We were talking, and him and his wife were there. And then he says, "Let's go for a drive." So we went to go for a drive. Now, when we went to go for a drive, it looked like a brand new SUV. I'm not gonna say a G-Wagon, but it was something along them kind of lines, like a Range Rover or a Land Rover. But it was pretty new and in pretty good condition. Kind of didn't really match the apartment, if you know what I mean. It was like, wow, you've got such a nice car, but the apartment's kind of humble. And we were driving around. He started driving me around the city, and as he was driving me around the city, he was showing me places. And then he drove me to the docks of the city, and the docks were like massive docks. There was just like loads of places for these ships to come in and out. And we got out of the vehicle and we were walking around, and I was like, I saw it looked like bits of plastic toys, like all colourful toys, seemed to be lying all around the docks. And there was empty 45-gallon barrels, and they were stainless steel 45-gallon barrels. And I was like, hey man, what do you take me here for? This looks, you know the way you'd watch a movie and you think you could get rid of somebody in the docks, they'd put them in a bar or something.
Yeah.
I goes, man, what are you taking me here for? This weird to come here. And he was just, no, we're just driving around. And when I was looking at all the plastics that were on the docks, I was thinking that this stuff's going to China, that China's going to buy all that stuff up for some reason. And then he says to me, do you want a bottle, do you want some water? And I was thirsty, but I didn't see any water. I goes, yeah, have you got some water? And he goes, yeah, and he gave me a bottle of water to drink. And then in the docks, there was a massive Ferris wheel. You know a Ferris wheel?
Yeah.
Like on a fair.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, we all got on the Ferris wheel. And as I was on the Ferris wheel, it just kept going up and up and up. And when I was up almost at the top of the Ferris wheel, I could see out over the whole city, you know, at the top of the Ferris wheel. And I was like completely amazed at the view of the city, and I could see the colour of the sky and all. But when I was at the top of the Ferris wheel, I said to myself, oh man, this is too high. I want to get down here. This is like, you know, I didn't like being that high up. And I had the feeling, and then it started to come down. And I was relieved that it was coming down, because I can say I'm a bit cautious about heights. That was it. That was the dream. What do you think?
There's impressions that hit me about your dream. It's similar to a prophecy that I prophesied about at the Crypto Christian conference. I said that if you have your Ferrari, or if you get your Ferrari, and you're celebrating before the famine has happened, or before the full exposure, maybe all the stuff, before all the bad stuff happens, you're going to put a target on your back. And I said that at the conference. And it's a little bit similar, because you saw, or you were made aware of a place that you were like, man, that's where I want to be. And you go to you go to your this friend, and his vehicles and stuff doesn't match his lifestyle. He could be secretly wealthy, but he's driving like this while he's still in this apartment. He could be very wealthy, but like you said, you took note that it didn't seem to match. He could be one of those who stepped into the wealth, who's putting out his affluence out there before it's time. And then you go to these docks where you're sensing this danger, where like a place where people go to disappear, but you're also observing, because that's some of the impressions you got. You're like, you even joked about it. And then you saw that they're shipping out this stuff that's going to China. It's very possible that you may have been, this is my impression, you're still in a time, or this is still a time when there's still corruption going on, still shady things happening, still arterial motives, still danger. You see those barrels, you don't know where everything's at, but you see the wealth, you see the place, you see it there. And then the Ferris wheel's going up and up, but you also still sense the danger when you were at the top of the Ferris wheel. Because you're like, wow, I love the view, but I need to get down right here. You shouldn't be this high, not yet, or at this moment. And you need to come back to reality. So my initial impressions is that it's basically about caution for you, for community, for anybody listening maybe. It's very possible that caution is a big thing that needs to be taken in consideration with no matter how high we go, especially during these seasons while stuff is still active in this. There'll be times when it's time to get your cars and stuff, but there's going to be a season if wealth transfer happens for many of you guys in the community members, but the things have not been fixed, like as far as like famines go, as far as the economy, as the situation, you're really going to put your target on your back. And if it lasts a very long time, or extended time, and you are the one that's known to be wealthy, but the world is still going to the worst of it, or is about to enter into the worst of it, then you're going to have to use real extreme caution, and you're going to have to distance yourself. You're going to have to be willing to go to different places for a lot of you. But that's just the impressions I got. House that you may want to couple this with caution. It could be for all of us, or just for the community, or even personally.
Hey, stand up.
Here we go. Our next crypto heart. Originally, the oscillation that we had for this crypto was this angle here, and I'm just going to bring it up. And that would have gave us this bottom here as a phantom. This was going to be here. But when we came underneath here, we only hit this top, and we came down and came right through it again, back into health. So now this could be one of two things. Either there's another area at play and price is no longer going to be respecting this, or it's still in play, it's just working lightly. or there's another reverberation that's more powerful. It also could tell us that price is looking for an excuse to be healthy. We want to combine all of this with the VSA so we know. But primarily, just in short, I've already ran the key angle on these two here. And this is this energy center and this energy center. And normally we're going to place it at the lowest energy center in the way. But if price is going above, below and above and no longer respecting that area, we know there's another force at play, just as what I spoke about earlier. So therefore, when I drew this angle here, we're going to be actually using the adjacents, which is the energy centers just to the left, or instead of, as I said, the default is the ones that are in between those two major energy centers. But sometimes we have to use the adjacent energy center, and that's going to be the ones to the left or to the right of those energy centers. So if these are the two energy centers, we're actually looking this way, or we're going to be looking that way to see if we can locate the key angle. And in this case, if we look at the adjacent energy center, the last energy center is going to be this one, the center of all this energy, that one. So again, this one is not in these areas. Is the ones that are to the adjacent, and that's why we use the adjacents as when we're doing energy centers sometimes. So in this case, that's where we're going to duplicate our key angle, and when we place it on that area, we can actually see that price did respond to it nicely. So we're doing that today. So when I place it here, there's a nice bounce here. And this tells us that a larger oscillation is in play. This tells us where the next major health has to happen. It needs to be above that key angle. It can give us some very valuable information and such. And so that's where we're going to be at right now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to either delete or even hide those older key angles. And in my case, I like to keep them on. I just want to fade them away, thin them out so that they're not taking so much of my eye attention, so my eyes are not overwhelmed, but rather I just can see it in the background. But I know primarily what I'm really looking at. All right, now with that being said, we can also see a similar thing happening with this original angle we had here. Price was going above it, and then it's going below it. It's not respecting it. You can say it's not respecting it, but it can give us clues about the larger oscillation. So for example, if we have this and this is our angle, I can take the distance between here and DP projection to see if I'm getting the same angle. Sorry, let me adjust it a little bit. To see if I'm getting the same distance roughly from the top to the bottom. In this case, we're going to bring this one a little bit higher. And am I getting a verification along that path? Yes, the DP projection would have been this oscillation duplicated. And when we duplicate this oscillation, it gave us verification at the top. So again, this is going to give us more pieces to the puzzle. So now I'm going to be thinking to myself, okay, so the full oscillation, therefore this is one of the more advanced key angle strategies. I teach all of this in key angles and sword method lessons 1 through 16. You just look for the one that says key angle. Okay, so these are going to be more advanced. But what this does is it turns into a mid-phantom. And this is how we can catch them just as they're developing. So this is a little bit more advanced, but this is how we can catch key angles even before they're fully developed. Now, if I have that angle and I know the phantom, now I have a higher degree of certainty where the bottom is in case things go south and I actually hit floor. So now I have another floor here. And if I have this angle, then I have the top angle, even though I don't have an invisible, even though I don't have the top up here, I can have it because I already know what the angle is supposed to be based on the distance and the calculation. So now I know that the next top is secretly above here. Now to make things simple for all of you guys, I just simply going to do it for you. I'm going to bring this one on top of here. I'll make this one really big and I'll just type in the words phantom, and I'm going to put the word top, and I'm going to put here phantom bottom. Okay, what? There's two phantoms? Yeah, there can be multiple phantoms. The key angle in the middle became a mid phantom, so I'm going to put key angle, KA. Let me stretch this out a little bit more. Slash. Okay, so that's a little bit advanced, but it's going to give me some primary areas which I'm looking at. Now, if I'm going to be buying it during a downtrend, I'm probably going to want to pay those lower prices. I can extend this phantom out, just this existing one in green, and then I can put one here. So any prices I want to pay those prices. Okay. If I'm in this territory right now and I'm going up, I may not want to take profit until I hit some of these major energy centers, because I like to take profit at the major energy centers if possible and ignore the little stuff. That means if I'm buying it right now, if I had it at 0.18, I want to just take profit closer to maybe 3 cents. And then if I get above 3 cents, I'm not going to be expecting it to do anything spectacular, because I know there's a resistance that is so close. So if I'm here, I know I'm just trapped in that little area. I'm not so expecting it to do anything super magical or anything like that. However, if I'm breaking above these areas, I might think, hey, there might be a reason to go up higher. I'm still leaving that other one up back here. So let me fade this one away a little bit, the target. That's closer to our target. So if I'm up here and I'm building on top of here and I haven't hit my target yet, I might say, oh, I'll just use to hit my target. Now this is an old target system, so we'll just leave it up for right now. Okay, but that's basically where I'm at when it comes to this current map. If I'm looking to short it or something, I'm going to be only making sure I'm aligning myself with the major markets. So that means that if the market is bullish, I only want to be looking for bullish cryptos primarily. I don't really want to be shorting in a time when it's bullish, because then I can be stacking odds in my favor, against my favor, making things worse for my situation. I want to be looking for bullish cryptos in bullish times, bearish cryptos in bearish times. All right. Okay. So far, that's what we have as far as the map goes. Now let's look and finish up reading heart with volume. When we read the VSA, we can gather a few things. Let's just mark quickly some major areas. Some major buying came into this on the down move. We really slowed down and one last wave of buying came in here. I'm just going to denote this quickly because with those arrows, I like the arrows because I can use the text feature on those. Large buying. Okay, so there's large buying that came in here and here in the volume. There's going to be no major sell-off, so we're going to put a down arrow that's yellow, lack of interest. Okay, so price didn't go down here because we're really selling. Now there was also another lack of interest on the down move here. We're not going to denote that. As we come back here, the volume is starting to ramp up here in this area, but we followed by some, this is where I'm going to say maybe there's some selling that's starting to happen in this second move up. So maybe here there's a lot of volume here, but we don't really go up on very high volume. This is actually low comparatively to all of that buying. And then we come up and the volume's increased. So one area here, we're at volume, this volume. Then we come right back up to the area and it really ramps up, followed by weakness. Therefore, we can see that if there was selling, it started here. And this is also could be viewed as a supply check as well, because if the supply wasn't as much and then we double check it and then there's too much supply at this time, that means too many people are willing to take profit. Prices definitely need to come down and something else needs to happen. So it's a very strong reversal indication. So I'm going to say, and just be on the safe side and put some selling. We're going to make this in black, not major selling, but some selling. A lot of supply coming in. Now, once we know these areas, we have a VZB by which we can work. We come back up to these areas, and as we're coming back up, the volume's starting to ramp up again. Volume's ramping up slightly. The candles are ramping up slightly. It's a parabolic into weakness. Let's compare those volumes to each other, and we'll have what we need. Here was the previous volume. Here's the volume now. How's the supply? It's still the same. There's still too much resistance. Okay, so price isn't ready to go up. It's more likely we're going to go down. We do go down. We would have known that information at the time, reading the volume. So we can see from this area, volume is still the same. Volume still the same. And then underneath, too much supply. Look for lower prices. Okay, so we'd look for lower prices at those areas. Okay, a few more before we finish up, because I don't know still how I feel about heart. I'm just reading it myself. All right, so now let's read to see if there was any active accumulation. Is this being bought? We know that there's a lot of supply. We know it's not being majorly dumped, but there's too much supply. Okay, if I'm seeing, so look off to the side, I'm going to put a little text that says, this crypto does not appear to be heavily dumped, but there is too much supply as of March 2025. March 2025. Look for another supply check. So they're going to check to see, they're going to test it at the top to see if there's a lot of supply. If there's still heavy supply or even an increase in supply, definitely look for lower prices. But at this moment, as of March of 2024, there's a lot of supply. Now, again, let's check to see if it's an active accumulation. Is there professionals who are buying this crypto? Is new money coming in into this crypto? Oh, it may have been being sold here. Yeah, here's some more selling. Stronger selling. Okay. Right there. That one. Right there. Along this small move. Okay. Was this being actively accumulated? We come down here, and what does the volume do? This is where we get a real clear indication that price is being ramped up. And then we move into health. So that's really good. So I would say some buying is coming in here. By the way, if we can VZB this area, the VCB is going to be here. That's where our volume zone block is. So if we're looking further in the future, we're going to be looking again in that area. So what was price doing as we start coming back into this area is ramping up. So more buying is coming in. So I can see large buying and more buying, more buying. Now comparatively, was the what was the buying like from those two areas? So the volume was here, first one, then two. What is the volume as we come back to here? Is there still a lot of supply at the bottom? Yes. Has this been absorbed? No. So what's going to have to happen? They're going to absorb the prices again and again. Okay, possibly. To see if it's ready to go, especially if you're launching the buying campaign. But it looks like some professionals are starting to enter. Okay, so now the next time we have the down move, what's the volume doing again on that down move? It is ramping up. So more buying is coming in. Comparatively, the buying appears to be getting a little bit smaller. That's a good sign. That's the supply is being absorbed. If they're launching a campaign, they have to absorb at the supply at their own level, and they also have to remove the supply, the floating supply, which is the supply above their head, where they're trying to take it to, and any resistances along the way. So more buying is happening here. Okay, more buying. Okay, or we could just type buying. And then finally, we got one large down move here. And in this down move, we can see that this down move moved into health. Now, you guys knew my top upper parabolic. We're going to get to that in just a little bit so we can determine if this really is in health. But the move as a whole, we need to see, is the volume ramping up, especially as we get to the bottom? And the answer is going to be yes. So as we had this last strong down move before we moved into health, we can see that we had some very small spreads on very high volume as we are both in the macro and the micro experiencing bullish volume candles into that down move. Okay, so this is a very good thing. See those tiny spreads, those candles getting really small, the down moves on ultra high volume, the down moves here's the next one, this one right there. Yeah, that one. See, as we coming down on very high volume in the micro, but also in the macro as a whole, the whole thing is going up. Do you see that? So this is another area also in the same VZB as the other ones, where there's going to be some more buying. So when we see buying all in the same places, we view this as accumulation. So that means that they're buying a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. They keep buying it all in this zone. And once the supply runs out, then it's okay for them to launch a campaign. So we're going to put this all into conclusion in just a moment. Here is the last one. Now, comparatively, how's this volume now? So now we're going to read this volume comparatively to itself. What is the volume like from here to here? It's about the same. What's the volume like from here to here? It's a little bit less. What about from here to here? Little bit, it's the same. And then from here to here, it's a little bit less. So we're going to say that there's still a lot of buying that still has to happen. I'm going to say this in conclusion, it would make sense why we're going to see them taking short-term profits, because or even participating in some of the smaller selling to slam it back down because they have not launched a large enough campaign. There's still too much of a market at these prices. In other words, there's too much of a market. They're not ready to launch a larger, higher time frame campaign. Most likely you're just going to continue seeing it in these areas for quite a while until there's another challenge for hard. So longer term, and this is my longer term look, this is a weekly chart, by the way, so this is like going to play out over the course of a year or something like that. We want to see probably some more or a secondary accumulation campaign. Now that secondary accumulation campaign doesn't necessarily need to happen at these lower prices, such as 8 cents. It doesn't have to happen at the lower numbers. As you can observe, This was the last health here. So there should be some closer to the sword cuts or in this area or along the angles based on these older key angles in the past. It's very possible that the secondary accumulation can happen higher than the first. So if this is the first accumulation and this is the secondary accumulation, I'm sure that's a very wide. If this is the first accumulation and this is the secondary accumulation, well, there may be a third accumulation that has to happen that can remove some of the supply, but generally going to be higher. Okay, I'm going to say this. Because of these two supplies, price isn't ready to go up to the moon yet. Because of the accumulation, I can see they're actively interested in getting cheap prices because they're going to dump it off sometime in the future for some price that's very high probably. So I'm going to say we need to look for another area of accumulation. And let me add that to my notes. Look for another area of active accumulation. Okay. I can see in the data there are two main active accumulation areas per today's video. However, because there is so much supply at these areas, I would look for a price to come back down to those lower areas before seeing major higher prices, or I would be looking for another active accumulation at another higher place on the map. So that's what I'm going to say right now. Let's put today's date. What's today? I don't know. November 9th. Okay. So I want to see them buying again because I see them so interested in buying. Same way we would listen to a trend line. If we see that trend line giving us so much support, we would listen to it. We pay attention to those kinds of things. Or if we had a key angle with lots of verification, we would be paying attention to those kinds of things. And in addition to all of those things, we want to be paying attention to what they're doing in the VSA. They're actively buying. So we want to look for the next logical place for them to buy, which leads me to our final thoughts or our final parts of this analysis. Before in the past, I had given you guys this, I believe it was on a daily chart. It was this one right here, okay? This is going to be the foundational, and this is maybe a little bit advanced. It's not that advanced. You know how I give you guys foundational key angles, meaning if price is going down, we try to read whatever the angle is. Sometimes the foundational area, which is the very beginning part of that line, is curved. Pay attention. The foundational part is this side. Right there where the first half of is primarily, right? But the first half gives me lots of clues about what's taking place. And I gave you guys this. You guys all have this on my previous map. It's this. If the initial part of that angle is curved inward like this, then what we can do is we can extend that curvature out, keeping the relative flow, and it reveals clues about what's really happening. That makes sense? What we can look for is when we see these curves giving us health, we start knowing other areas when health is coming in. Did you guys see that? I gave you guys that line months ago. I don't even know when we did this chart. It was months ago. Heart. But look what's happening now. Is it by any coincidence that it's happening on top of here? You guys see that? Do you guys like that? No? I don't know if this is helping people, but I sure hope I wish somebody taught that kind of stuff to me, guys. I really did. Nobody taught that stuff to me. I had to learn it. The Lord showed me that kind of stuff. So foundational key angles are really powerful. Sometimes that gives us two separate angles, and that's fine. Health here, but that gives us clues where other health may happen. So would this construe or count as a pullback? The health would be above here. And any moves pulled back into the area, in this case we got two of them, can be viewed as a type of pullback. So, by the way, this might be part of a step up. It shouldn't be, I don't know why it was orange. It was orange from a previous one, a previous sword cut, based on that energy. But I'm going to say, I want to be looking at this area to see if the volume's ramping up on the down move or lack of interest on the down move. Here we have ultra high volume. I'm going to explain this real quick. Ultra high volume on the up move followed by this one right there, followed by into health. Now that's really cool, because why would that be the case? I already know. I'm just going to hold back the answer in just a moment. And then after the fact, we come down best bar on very low volume. On low volume comparatively. And then we come again on low volume comparatively again in a few more days after the fact. I thought, that's interesting. Okay, just in the micro. And then when we come down again, there's very little volume. So what's all this? Are they really selling then? Because selling has to happen on up bars and up moves. Are they really selling? Because if so, we're going back when we're back in those areas and no one seems to care. No one seems to care. So what was this type of volume here? Why so much volume right there? Why so much activity needs to happen there? Does anybody know the answer? Starts with the pushing. Firecracker, you got to give someone else a chance to answer. You're too smart. But she's right. It's pushing volume. This maneuver is a money-making maneuver that's primarily launched once all the supply has been absorbed. We're going to type this in, pushing, and it's not black candle, it is a white one. It's actually a bullish thing. This is pushing volume to get us past where these people who bought here, they bought here, okay? They're going to take some, not everybody bought here, right? But some people bought here. They were hoping to make money. They lost money primarily here. They are in pain. When price comes back to their psychological level, which is on a parabolic curve, they're going to take profit. I guarantee it. That's how it works. They're going to take profit. There's only one thing, because they're feeling like, I lost so much money on heart. Broke my heart. And they're crying, right? There's only one thing that can make them feel better. It's to put them in the money. It's like a casino effect. You go to a casino, you're down by 20, you're down by 40, you keep playing, then now you're down by 500, and you're like, oh man, I just want to break even. My brother had that conversation when he went to the casino. He told me exactly the same thing. And he said to me, I just wanted to break even. My brother-in-law then placed some money, and he went up all the way, and he won it big till I think it was something like $800. And he always started with $20 anyway. It went all the way to $800, and now he felt really good. He was like, okay, what's one more? Let it ride. Before, he was planning to walk away from the table. This is the psychological area where people walk away from the table, right there. If you push them into health, you push them into elation. Okay, actually not elation, not greed, elation. You make them feel good. You appease them. They feel good. And instead of bringing the supply back in the market, they're like, you know what? I'm not interested anymore. And you know it because when you test it, they're not taking profits at those levels. They're still bullish now. They're like, I'm not going to get rid of it now. I'm going to see if I can get a better price. And they feel good. So how does that look in the volume? It looks like this. The down move, no interest. The down move, no interest. Did you see it? And I shouldn't say, there's no interest on this one. On the first one, a down move with increased volume. What is that? Small buying. Not large buying, but small buying. Let's mark this on the calendar. And you guys will know how I feel about this heart. Okay. Small buying. I'll be daily chart. And then here we have no demand. Now I'm going to leave this white because if it's no demand after, in the context where it is, with pushing small buying in the background and sitting on top of health, I'm going to say that's still bullish. So I'm going to try to color code so you guys know what I'm trying to convey with my art. In other words, you got past all of those areas. Now, generally, we want to see a large secondary accumulation. And this is where we would see that another accumulation coming in. Was it comparatively? If this area right here, comparatively to the last buying, was here, those were pretty high prices. And then we come back on the next pullback and they're not and then buying comes in, and then finally nothing. Look at the volume. There's no more supply. This looks like the supply is being absorbed. At this moment, I'm going to say I'm expecting heart to hit this higher number, 0.03 cents. Current price is 0.18. I'm going to be bullish heart. I wish I had some more reasons on why I was trading it. But at the moment, using the VSA, looking at this structure here, I'm feeling good about it. We're in an uptrend. The market's in a bullish trend based on USDT.D and Bitcoin. So count me in. I'm going to say this. Okay. In addition, at the moment, price has broken out into a new territory of health. This was on pushing volume, and afterwards there were two pullbacks. The first saw buying coming in. The next had no demand. In context, this increases the possibility of higher prices relatively soon. How do you spell relative? I should have asked my family members.
Okay. Do you think it would come back to
A lower price?
There's a low step up. Do you think it will come back to that? Once it hits that 3 cents?
I'll let you know in just a moment. Here's the next step up she's talking about. That one or this one? They're almost in the same area. Let's get you a range just to simplify it. 0.015 to 0.013. Let me put this in front. In some ways it already has. If you look at the range from here to here, we already came back and are spiking below with these spikes. Because of the no demand situation, I'm not going to be in that camp where I don't really think it's going to go down. It doesn't seem to have a strong incentive to. Clue that you will, and I'll give you this. Okay, I'm going to hide my lines. Here's the clue. If you guys are micro trading this, I'm going to go to a 4-hour chart and show you how to do this. So on a 4-hour chart, I'm just going to draw this manually. These are your two energy centers on top. Okay, 1, 2, there's your third one, about right there. Okay, you're going to take your key angle, bring it here. We already see that primarily we're still within that. With the smaller time frames, you're going to be a little bit more, giving it more freedom. If the candles are not respecting that side, look on the wick side. Draw it as a range if you need to. Here's the wick side. It's that right there. Okay. Is price still respecting this? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Is it still going up ever so slightly at these angles? Yeah. This is a 4-hour chart. If you guys are observing it, you can use this today if you want to. Use this for this week and see. Now, here's a little test. Can anybody calculate where the health is? If you're looking to buy it, you're either going to pay these prices down here, and that's okay. Or you can wait for the next health. Where's the next health? Somebody draw it on my chart for everybody? Anyone? You guys know it? Not that hard. Apple, butter, crumb, pumpkin pie. Holy moly, guys. Holy moly. So good, make you want to slap your mama. Good job, iPad. Good job, Bencat. Who is iPad? Bencat got it. It's a parabolic along this track. Apple, butter, crumb, pecan. Was it crumb, pecan? I don't know. Apple, butter, crumb, pumpkin. Oh my gosh. So if you're drawing, you want to map, you want to pay that price, get me above there, and you can get in. That's probably where I'll get in, if I'm going to get in. Then you want to look for profits here, and we'll examine the volume here and here, and then you can see if you're going higher. But that's just if I was short-term trading only. Otherwise, that's going to be probably a good entry for where I'd be looking to get to. Okay? All right. Do I have any other questions about how to a game plan for that one? In the larger term, it's going to look like we're probably playing down here. But you can see the spreads really shrinking after the secondary buying came in on the down move. There's the ramp up. There's the no demand. Now it's ready for a reversal. Health, it just needs to come into it. If you wait for the health, then you're probably going to stack the odds in your favor. Okay. Any other questions regarding heart? Yeah? No? I'm going to put this in, I believe this is short-term bullish. Okay. It may do well longer term. There was already a lot of supply selling, so we're probably going to come back down. So I'm probably going to just be looking for an excuse to buy, get out, then get back in at another time in the future. Maybe back on top of this area, maybe at the lower number. But I just want to place for profit, so probably 3 cents. The money that's on the table currently stands around 100%, 105%. So I like that one. If we're just taking the conservative resistance closer to here, it's 119. The next resistance closer to 196. So it's almost another 200% just from here to here. Yeah, it's a lot. And then the upper one here, up at the closer to the target, is closer to 260%. So I'm just going to be conservative and just put it right there and say it's around 126%. Okay, it's a lot of money to be made on heart. I hope you guys do well on heart. You guys should have been doing well from our last map, and I hope you guys are doing, again, just navigating. Remember, you can never force any cryptos to do anything. Just stack the odds in your favor, and I hope you guys are using your maps to help you navigate, no matter what type of technical analysis you guys are doing. Okay, let's do some more cryptos. I'm gonna have to run through these more faster. I took some more time on heart. I like it. Let's look at AGI. It's one we've done before. After health came in, it's possible a lot of money was being thrown in here, although it's not very clear that it's buying. A lot of money was thrown here at these times. Right after that, health came into the market. It's usually 2-day chart. I want to be a little bit more clear. See if I can isolate. Ooh, these candles are not good. Low market cap. I don't want to use a 2-day chart. Let's go to back to that weekly chart. Okay, I want to be careful with this one. This one I'm going to be looking more longer term. These candles are generally indicative that something is wrong here. Selling, ultra high volume selling on up bars, up moves, closes near the middles, near the origins. I'm going to say the selling was happening here. And then after the health, which was here, by the way, somewhere along there. Okay. That's when a lot of the money needs to be thrown at it. A very small down move on very low demand is going to be a sign of health. The next thing we're really paying attention to is this one. And the reason I'm paying attention to that one is because it starts giving me the locations of the next sword cut, which is here. Okay. So some people say, why do you go so far back in the past? What tells me a story? I need to answer those main 3 questions. Are the major players entering this market? What have they done so far? And what are they doing now? This helps me get a map, get a baseline for what's going through the head of my opponent, because you are playing against the market. Come. Now, did we go down because of selling, or did we go down because of lack of interest? I'm going to say in this example, if there was any selling, it was on this bar, if there was, but the next, and then we go up, and there may be still some selling here, just some small, and then we come down. We didn't really come up except for this time, and we came up on no demand after that. So I'm going to say that this is going to be the VZB. It's this block here. So if we're marking that area, I want to be using that area to look for my next major event. I'll mark this off. There's our VZB. And any subsequent times I'm looking in the future, I'm going to be looking for some more selling or more activity. I'm going to be looking in these areas. Okay, so our first big selling, and I'm going to be more accurate, primarily possibly here. Let's bring that down a little bit more. All right, so now we come up one more time on lack of interest. Let's put this little arrows here. I'm going to put a down arrow in yellow, exclaiming that this up move was lack of interest. And when we come back up in the next up move, or we come into weakness, I'm going to put here possible selling. We fall into weakness, and then we come down, small buying here, but look at all this volume ramping up. And where does it ramp up? In 2 places. Here, from the small buying, and there, which is all now. In context, why would all the volume be ramping up here? The last time we were there, that's where possible selling was starting to happen on that along this up track, along with being now round structure underneath the sword cut. If I'm gonna get out, this is my last major area or time to be able to get out. That's where I'm going to be able to launch my maneuver. That's the sword cut. That's when all these people who lost some money here, who were buying, said, forget it. This is the best I can do. It's based on the foundational area here. So we were going up along this track, and now we lost it. So now we come back up underneath in a nice, smooth way. This is our time to get out. And I think that's what the big players are doing. They're dumping their holdings onto anyone who wants to continue being bullish. Because of this, I'm going to say this is the next bullish area we want to be bullish in. And I'm going to draw it for you here, above there. Right now, I'm not bullish because of these things, but this one doesn't have me, okay? Do I have any other questions about this crypto? Major dumping. Okay, so possible major dumping is happening in these areas. Why would we be buying right now? Why would money be coming in now just on the underside of this? It doesn't make sense, right? So therefore, I'm not going to be interested in this crypto during the time when the market's, I'm very bullish the market. The next crypto is Aurora. This crypto's been in a downtrend. My previous map looks like this. We did the tiger analysis. I think I did this one a while back. We have a parabolic on the top. So I'm not really interested in any spikes to there. I want to get on top of there. But now that the oscillation is coming inward, there's very little money for me to make if I was trading that. It'd be very little money to make anything. Do you understand that? It'd be very hard to be successful navigating that trench, right? Why? If it was in the past, maybe I will take it here so we can make the money from here to here if it was reasonable. We had that parabolic for you guys last time. It was this larger parabolic, and it's still to be seems to be playing out, and these ones level out, so they're easy to draw now. You can just draw them flat. Okay, so now that we're coming up to this time, even if I do get the break into health, it's little money, and then I don't want to buy in the downtrend. I don't want to buy in that downtrend. I want to make sure that I'm buying in the next healthy place. So I want to buy here above these areas. Okay, I want to buy above those areas. But right now, this is no longer, when we last looked at it, what was it, around August 19th? Yeah. As of now, I don't want to touch this right now. Okay. Let's bring all of these, we already have these, so we'll just bring them down further. Any other questions, my friends? Some of the next lower, because this is dynamic minus, this is going to go down over time. Sword cut still where the sword cut is major buying coming in. No, but there was some major profit taken along that track. Look at that ultra high volume, but look at the candle. It's on an up bar, but look at, and if it was just a supply check, there's still a lot of supply. Okay, let's put this in notes real quick. This one has still not broken into health. If this, I can also see a major supply check or buying or possible selling on this last up move. I would feel much safer buying this only after the major health now above in white, closer to 0.16 cents. I'm not saying if it hits 16 cents I want to buy. I want to make sure I'm above there, right? Okay, don't be afraid to ask questions, guys, please. As it is, there is no major accumulation campaign, but we are going down on decreased volume. Therefore, look for health, major health in the map sometime in the future. Okay, so if we're going down and all the volume's drying up, we can't continue to go down for forever generally. That's the general rule. But that doesn't give you the go ahead to buy. You still need to move into a health, because then that means we'll have an upmarket correction. Then you're going to definitely need to look to take profit, because if you went up without professional accumulation in the background, like they didn't buy, that's bad. In this case, it's not so bad because there appears to be some kind of professional accumulation somewhere closer to these areas here. Okay, so that's not the end of the world. That's why I'm going to be looking more closer to sword cut. Okay, let's make sure I put that in my notes. This crypto has some accumulation in the background. Therefore, if there is more, look for it to happen closer to sword cut, possibly around, and then I'll give you the sword cut prices, 0.064 to 0.057. Any other questions? It's probably going to do good in the future. Okay, next one, Sol, S-O-L. Here's Sol. Ooh, good. Okay. Expect 600 for Sol, like ETH in the sense of money. I heard 1,000. Easy on the 1,000. Watch for 205, 250, July 2024. Okay, so let's talk about this crypto. Let me look on this. Let me look at the volume real quick. Harmony. Here's where the market needed to cool off initially. Look at the volume drying up. can't continue forever. But where's the major dump? If anything, the only high volume bars was in harmony with the market. So we just needed to cool down. So that means that this move down here is a correction. That means that this is only temporary. So you wait for that one to break. Here's the foundational area. There's your health right there. Now, if this is a correction and it's a known correction, was there professional accumulation coming into this market? It needs to happen on down bars and down moves. Here's a down move. Here's a down move. Was there any professional accumulation that was happening? I would say yes. Buying. So buying was coming in on this down move. They knew it was only a matter of time. When the health appears, that's when the retail market, or like you guys here, can strike, because you can let them do the buying, right? Let them buy in the downtrend. But you can buy after they got it in. If there's a secondary accumulation campaign, it can come in after sword cut. There's not really a sword cut that's active on this one, maybe. As an average, there may have been some more. Okay, and then if there's any selling, a major selling, it's going to be seen on those up bars, up moves. But what we're doing is we only have 2 major up moves, but most of the high volume, let's see, is actually not on those on those bars at all. It's actually, let me use a pin. It's actually this one, which is well off, which means this is just part of the market. Okay, this is just going to be part of the harmony of the market. It's not a major dump. Was it? Not that one. It was actually, sorry, this one right there. So it's not a major dump. That's the balance of the market. That's a very good thing. That's just infusion. That's possibly retails. Now, we go up, and where's the dump? Where's the dump? There's no major dump. Maybe small selling here. This one is very small, and that's a very good thing. Small selling. Comparatively, that's nothing compared to the buying. So where are the professionals? Does anybody know the answer to this equation? If there's very little selling here, and the only big money that was coming in was still part of that rise from retail, they got in. Where are the professionals? Anybody know where the professionals are? Are they bullish? Are they bearish? What are the professionals? Somebody tell me the answer. Professionals got in. They didn't get out. Where are they? How do they feel about your crypto soul? No, they're not bearish, but good try. They're waiting. Good job, Kanji. They're waiting. They're still there. They came in, maybe here. They didn't really get out. The market fell, as I explained here. It fell into weakness here, not because they got out, but because the market was just going up too fast. It needs to cool off. There's no more players. They have to drum up some more support. They got in, again, here and here, as I showed you. That's where other buying came in. So buying. They didn't get out. There was only some small profit taking. And this could have been just the retail market. A little tiny selling. So where are they? They're still there, is the answer. Kanji said they're waiting, and she's right. So what do you think you should do? Because it's actually not that hard to play the long game. You just need to know what it is and who you're playing against. If they're not dumping it, maybe you shouldn't dump it. If they're playing the long...
What if we don't have it? Should we buy it?
If we didn't get an entry when we should, then we have to use the map to help us learn on the jumping on points, right? We have to see where the next breakouts are. And so we'll talk about that in just a moment. But the first step is to always establish the answers to those 3 questions, like I showed you in my slides on Wednesdays. But let's just put that real quick so we know. November 9th, 2024. Yep, and then we'll answer Lisa's question. Oh, Lisa, I had a dream last night. I was talking to you. I'll tell you what I said in my dream in just a moment, okay? After this. We can see from today's video that there was buying that came in during the market correction. Okay, that was the down move. I already showed you those buying on that down move. There are major players in the game, but they are not selling yet. This isn't, period. This gives us valuable information. This tells us that they are expecting higher prices. Okay, that's what that means. Expecting higher prices. See, guys, if you guys can read them, if you're dumping too early, if you see that they're jumping ship, you should probably jump ship. And I don't mean like today, guys, like how we turn on the news and Barack Obama and all of them are leaving the country and stuff like that. No, not that kind of jumping ship. I mean like money-wise, right? Follow what the money's doing, not what the celebrities are doing. That's different. Get out. Okay. Anyway, they're expecting higher prices. So we'll leave that there, just like that. Now, that leads us to believe next. Now, I had this from last time. I had this oscillation, this key angle over here, and the phantom. So therefore, I was believing about that, okay, as an oscillation. I had also this parabolic here, which means I wasn't really interested in selling until Sol is actually building underneath here. And that was something I had. I also had more on the smaller time frames. I had this oscillation here. And if we are breaking or building above here, I'm expecting to duplicate this oscillation to the top side, which is called DP Phantom. But that number is going to go down over time. So that decreases the amount of profits that's available short-term for short-term traders. But that's going to put us somewhere about right here at 222. So if I had it today, I don't want to be dumping exactly yet, but I want to probably hold out for maybe closer to 222. I stack the odds in my favor. So if I had today and I'm like, I want to decrease my bag of Sol, or I want a short-term day trade profit this, I want to get out at 222, at least from the last map I have. Okay. Now this is actually going to be updated a little bit, and I'll show you where. Okay. Because this one was a false breakout right here. It's part of the new structure, and therefore we can adjust our angles, and this is going to give us a more higher target. Okay. But if that's all I had, that would have been all I traded. So let's adjust this. Bring this like that. Okay. This is going to give me a new center point, which is going to be our mid phantom. And then I'm going to duplicate it to our phantom. Still within the rules. Yep, still within the rules. Still got enough verifications along that track. Let's bring it to its extremities. I think I can capture all of those points, and yep, I did. So on the wick side, I got 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to take the distance between here and here. Good. Duplicate that, put it on top, and duplicate my phantom. And it's that simple. So now my new price for exit price is going to be much higher, $277. So if I have Sol at $197 today, I don't want to take profit until I get to closer to 277. Now, because I'm using the wicks, I need to remember I'm using the wicks, so I'm using the more extreme or liberal side. So therefore, I want to take profit a little bit beforehand. Personally, I don't like to take profit all the way at the end because there's no guarantees that my exchange is even going to allow me to hit that. Sometimes there's shenanigans happen. Sometimes the markets don't perform all the way to your fullest expectations. So I'll usually set a stop loss closer, maybe to 259. Okay, somewhere like that. Does that make sense for everybody? You guys understand how I would navigate that if I'm trading Sol? Everybody got it? I'll put a little legend here for you guys. DP projection, descent point projection. Okay, I want to get out there if I'm day trading. Okay, I want to make the money in between here only, unless I have a larger reason to trade if I was short-term trading this. Okay, now let's look to see, do we have a jumping on point? Now, I'm going to say that the next big health, and let me see how accurate I can get. Let me go to a weekly chart. Yep. All right, here's the number. This is an important week. All right, you guys watch out. Here it is. Let me lessen this. We don't need that really. That's just my tiger. Here it is. I'm going to show you. If you're following along, this is going to be my core. This is going to be my core. In other words, this is my source point. This is my secondary point. This is my verification. That tells me I'm doing it right there. Okay, so when I bounced and rejected from there, I'm doing it right. Therefore, I'm going to put a lot more emphasis on whence I'm above here. Okay, so that dot that's yellow, that green needs to be approximately here. Okay, so if I'm using a pen, or let's use this crayon, I'm going to just put a little circle there. I want to be above there before I really think about going higher. Okay, and when I do, then I have a lot more chance. Now, short term, I'm probably going to hit this as a resistance and come back down, but my next health after that is also above there. So I'm going to be looking to build above there in the future, and it might look like something like that. And then I have a chance to go up. But at the moment, I have a chance to go up. Okay, possibly. Now, what's my problem? This is a weekly chart, and today's Saturday, and I have 1 day, 7 hours left to go in the week. 1 day, 7 hours left to go. But as it is, that's going to be good for me, okay? I'm going to be looking to see if it's broken. Now, there's only one other thing I would use as a point of wisdom. If this was my top, and that was my top, and that was my top, and I have 3 tops, I'm going to look to see if the supply was removed. Because if there's heavy supply or the volume's increasing on the top, I know that it's going to be really costly for them to try to push it up. So most likely my odds are I'm going to come down for another support. So let's just measure those in correlation to each other real quick. This volume here was, let's use the pink color. Okay. This volume was about right. Was it there? Yeah. I think it's that one. Yep. So we're about right here in volume. And then we come back up again, and we are a little high in volume. That small selling. And then finally, we come up one more time, and I'm about right there in volume. This ramping up was actually probably another accumulation, but I just want to measure the top part. Okay. And then finally today, what's the volume like today? If it's really high, it's possible some pushing is happening. But now I have comparative points, and I can see a trend now. The trend is that the volume was once there. Second time it was there. Oof. Third time it looks like the supply might have been absorbed. And now it's this. So I'm going to say that the supply doesn't appear to be fully absorbed. So use caution. Okay, so that's going to be mine. I'm going to say that it'd be nice if it was really low or clear that it was really low. I'm going to say that I got to be real careful of thinking this is the breakout just yet for a soul. Okay? I'm going to add that to my notes. I am more bullish short term. However, without fully observing clearly, that the supply above has been absorbed, I am not fully convinced the breakout is this week. I would use caution. However, as a bullish point, the supply is lessened, and that makes higher prices likely sooner than later. I should say it makes higher prices in the near future. Okay, not longer. It could be this week, it could be one more challenge, but this is a weekly chart. So if we are going to get some resistance, it's going to be possibly now, and this could be like, oh, there's still some supply. Watch it come down, get those lower prices. That's where I would want to get it again. I want to get it at $131, and then we'll watch it go back to $197. But watch what it does here. There may be a supply push. If we get above, I definitely want to pull back, and I think that's going to be possibly what you're going to see. I don't think it's just going to go straight to the moon. I think you're going to get a pullback. But those are the prices I would get at. Any other questions? 131. Okay. If I have it, great. If I don't have some, 131 or above this number, above 189. Okay. Any other questions? All right. We last looked at Ray way back in 2023 on this map, at least. Wow. In 2023, we were still up at the top of the market in May, and I said I don't have a reason to trade Ray at the moment. I pointed out some important map points. This was recent prophetic coin spoken by Prophet Robin Cunningham. He said it would do well, perhaps long term. I wish I had looked at it here. I saw maps. I saw health only appearing after the foundational areas here along that track, as denoted here, and possibly here, but we never got above there, not until that point. So that would have been nice. Okay, later, and that was back in May. Okay. So did it do well? You guys tell me. It did good. It did good. Okay. And so let's do a new map because we got some more stuff going on. A good point of health at that bottom would have been after, was this August, July? Closer to July, February here. This would have been a point of health based on that breakout from a map perspective. Some of the next health after that is we can examine once the health comes in, the last event that happens. The last event that happens before we break into health was these structures here. So we got that angle. We can place it at the third energy center. So if you were looking for a jumping off point from that angle, it would have been there. And in fact, it's very interesting to note, by the way, that's where the resistance was as well. Isn't that nice? See, aren't you glad you're here? You guys learned so much. Resistance, health, finally, and then we continue. but you know where to look for those places, and you can have time to read it. You have time. I love sword method because it gives us time to do stuff. Now let's read this in context. Let's see if there's some money coming in. In July, in 20, we're not primarily reading VSA. Now we are, so we can read this in new context. Anybody know what was happening down there at the bottom? Anybody knows what was happening there? Yeah, we can see some large buying started happening on the down bars and down moves. And the VZB was here. As we go back into that VZB block, or the volume zone block, we can observe that the volume was already drained up. So this was of supply absorption. They bought everything. There's nothing here. The next health that comes in is really telling. If we went up, then we can, into health, then we can read this in context and say this was a buying and this was no demand. So they just bought up everything here. So price is ready for higher prices. Then we can start projecting tops and bottoms and things like that. That's good. If you see professionals starting to come in, that's really good. This after the buying came in was probably a supply check. This one up here, because we went up, we spiked all the way here, but we continued going up. After buying was coming in, it's most likely a supply check. So supply check 1, supply check 2, the supply is being removed from the top. Supply check 3 right here, and look, I'll point that out one more time because I went through that really quick. Let me see if I can stretch out this volume to show you guys. Buying came in here, we test up here. How's the supply? Oh, wait, too much? Are we ready to go up? No, not really. Let's try it one more time because they want to do it. Is it ready? It's lesson. We come down, challenge it again. How's the volume? Still high? Okay, let's bring it low. Too much. 1, 2, 3, that's it. Let's go lower. They brought it lower. Buy up more floating supply. Nothing left. We come up one more time. How's the supply? It's very little. So what's happening with the supply? On the roof. The roof is being weakened. The genie wants out of the bottle. The dinosaur wants out of the cage. He hits it every day, and he noticed that the cage is weakening. He's ready to get out. The dinosaur finally pops up, and they give it comes out with a great push and a roar. One last supply check before we hit that top. It was that one right there on that bar, and that was all that was needed. They cracked it, sat on top of it, roar, and went up ever since. I want to say something. Going forward in sword method. Are you there, Lisa? Okay, I'll tell you the conversation I had with you in my dream. So I had a conversation with you early this morning, and you were asking me about a crypto. And I said that in the future, we're going to be investing a lot into continuation knowledge when it comes to volume spread analysis. I think volume spread analysis is one of the best investments you can make in your mind and your learning, because when you're learning volume spread analysis, and especially if you put it in conjunction with a map, that's the number one thing I would add to volume spread analysis. We got maps first, but what we're doing is we're throwing a lot of our information, our investment at volume spread analysis when it comes to our time, our effort, or energy. That type of effort. When you invest a lot in yourself, in your mind, when it comes to these kinds of things, you're the best. You're gonna see that there's a fruit from it. Nobody can take away your skills once you start learning them, whether it's art or riding a bicycle. Only one who can take away your skills is the Lord. And he may, but it's rare. When it comes to things like reading the volume spread analysis, going into the future with lots of wealth in your future, some of you guys are going to get lots of wealth because of wealth transfer. These are invaluable skills that you're going to take with you the rest of your life. You're going to need to read the room. You're going to need to read what the big players are doing. Read how to see when price is continuing, when the market's coming down, but not because they're dumping, so that you're not ruled by fear. When you see it's coming down because of its correction, when you see them still in the game. Or when it's coming down and you saw that they were jumping ship and you jump ship as well. Or when you see them buying as it's coming down, what's the retail market? Or if you see it back and forth, you see them dumping, but then you see them heavily buying even more, you know that they're just trying to shake people out of the market. There's so many things you can learn from volume spread analysis, and you can start navigating what those icebergs, not just where the icebergs are at, like in a map, but what icebergs are moving around, who's playing the game along with you, what other ships are in the map with you. And that's the beautiful thing. When we had sword method, we had a map, but there's other players we're playing against, and we need to understand what they're most likely to do, because They don't just know those points, they move points around. Sometimes they shift, sometimes they manipulate, sometimes they're about ready to strike. And reading the volume spread analysis helps us know when they're about to jump out of the tree. We know, it helps us start getting a better sense of timing. It lets us even know if we don't have the timing, we can see where the vortexes are. We can see when it's more likely they're going to strike. And so we're going to be primarily focusing in the next few months, primarily on the continuation patterns with VSA. Now, originally in Sword Method 4.0 in Sword Method 6.0, I said that we were going to be covering the basics and a volume spread analysis. But I need to give this its own modules so that I can do it better as a teacher. I'm doing the best I can on Wednesdays to teach you guys volume spread analysis and give you guys a chance to practice and being with you and answering questions and helping you wrap your mind around what's really happening, to see the field of the TA in a different way. Most people they put on an indicator or they read Elliott waves or even just Sword Method. It's great. I think Sword Method's the best to read price maps in my own opinion, but that's just me because I'm biased. But in conjunction, volume spread analysis is the supplement to that. It's like you got your meat, which could be a map, but the mashed potatoes, the onions, and the carrots on the side, that's going to be all your supplement. That's your VSA. It's complicated. It is. Don't get me wrong. I was loath to teach it because it was so complicated. It takes a little bit to learn, but I'm trying to put it in ways that you can understand with mnemonics and using various learning techniques to subtly throw those out till you guys are catching on and observing and learning, having a chance to see it in real life and having a chance to practice it. So when you're reading it like a book and I'm teaching it to you guys like a teacher, you can apply these principles to every situation, to every crypto where you see active buying campaigns or even just lack of buying campaigns. You can read the smaller stuff. You can read the room a little bit better. Now, I don't recommend anybody trade only with VSA. And I know people that just only do that, and it seems even more difficult. But with a map, reading, I think we're perfectly positioned, uniquely positioned, by the way, so that we can read VSA better than most. Because, for example, if I read that the resistance is along a parabolic, I know with a higher degree of certainty that I can read the VSA along that parabolic. If I see that there's a support but it's at an angle, I can read the VSA along that rather than just reading the micros that some teach or only at the flats that everyone else teaches. I can actually teach you guys how to read it in conjunction with a map, provided I myself get to that level. Now, I myself am not at the ultimate level, but I am committed to investing in myself as much as possible to make sure that I can teach this at a proper aptitude. And as I've gotten better over the last 2 years at VSA, I started VSA maybe about 4 years ago, but it was very complicated and I didn't get it in the beginning. It was very hard for me to get. I read the same books over and I just couldn't get it. But eventually I got it. And I wish somebody would have maybe taught me some of those ways. Now I can go back to some of those teachers and be like, okay, I know what they're talking about without getting a headache. And some of you may get a headache with me, and I do apologize. Here, have some juice. It'll make you feel better. Be patient with me. As I told Lisa in my dream last night, I said, I told her, we're going to be going forward investing in continuation, which is going to be the next step at VSA. We're going to be focusing more on the little stuff that tells us prices are still going up. The little stuff that tells us that, hey, we should be coming down, but only in a small way. Hey, we should be going up in a large way. Things like that. So helping with continuation. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Okay, so as we continue with Ray, we can see that, again, there was some buying coming in on this crypto in these areas. So our next logical step is ask, where are they getting out? Or did they get out? So if they bought here and they want to get out, here was a top. Here was I won't give it to you just yet. I'm not going to give you guys all the answers. I will in just a moment. But if we can see, where were they selling? Did they sell? Okay, so we have some up bars followed by a down move. There might be some selling happening here. On this down move, we can see that it was quite a weak down move. We actually went down on low demand and then we come back up and again on very high volume, followed by another down move and into the side. So if there's some selling that's happening, it might be in these areas. So I would say this is some possible selling. I'm not fully convinced yet, but it looks like there's some selling, and I'll show you why in just a moment. And it could be selling by the retail market, but it's strong enough to take note. So we're going to say selling. And then we get to the top here, And look at the volume. We get to 1/3 area here, and there's nothing. Okay? There's nothing to show for the volume in this area. There's just nothing. Very low. So let's mark that on the map. Stay with me and okay. This one is going to be, we're going to first put it in yellow because it's lack of interest. They're not interested anymore at these prices. They have absorbed the supply. This could be a no demand, also supply. I shouldn't say lack of interest. That's wrong. No demand. So there's no demand here at this area. But price continues to go higher. If they're selling, why didn't we really dump? This is going to be where I'm going to put the lack of interest on the underside. Somebody help me figure out this equation. See if you can figure it out along with my tutorial before I bring my conclusions. Lack of interest. Okay. If this was really selling, oh, that shouldn't be yellow. That should be yellow. If there was really selling or strong selling, why wasn't there really any fruit? We continue to go up again, and then some selling possibly. But where's the down move? We actually come down very little and then sideways and come up again. Where's the dump? Where's the weakness? Were they interested in that down move? No. Lack of interest again. That's interesting. Was that not enough to cause a selling frenzy? And then what about this last time? Last time we come down and we start seeing that on the down move, a volume bar that is high, above average, closes near the origin. Not exactly a red bar, but it could have been a red bar and just slightly came over. And that's interesting. Why is that happening? Is it possible that there's small buying going on? This is one of the more advanced concepts, by the way. Okay. If you're not clear, just put a yellow. So we have some selling, but then they're not interested in the dump. If they try to create a buying frenzy, they may have taken some profit here. Yeah, possibly. And then they took some more profit here. But then we went up, and then they started buying some here, and there were no more selling here at the same areas where they should have. Here and here is where they should have sold, and then finally here, where they should have got a good price for it, they're like, okay, we're not taking profit anymore. So did they have a change of heart? It is possible, therefore, that we can actually conclude that this in itself is a type of upthrust test. How's the volume here? What's it look like up there? Is there a lot of sellers up there? Yeah, there's some sellers. Okay, we'll bring it down. But they're not really participating in this. Not helping it go down. And the retail market certainly not dumping it either. Let's try it again. How's the market up there? It's still the same. Maybe just a slightly bit worse, but it's basically the same. All right. There's still too much of a market there. Let's try again. How's the market up there? Oh, it's all clear up here. The supply has been resorbed. No one left to play. The roof is gone. Is the boss away? Yep. Where's the next? We can go up again. Now, this is a lot more easier for me to explain with the map. Okay, so here's where I'm going to add my content to this. Here. The floor is this. It's a parabolic. And there's about the curvature. The top is this. Straight up in the air. Core, wick, health. Here. If there's going to be another health, it's going to be on top of this area primarily, based on this curvature. This is the key angle on bottom. That would be the phantom. Your mid-phantom would be halfway point here. You don't have to draw it, but you can. That one right about there, which is where we found some support a little bit, some resistance on the underside. Some of these candles are responding quite nicely to these a little bit. The floor, based on these 3 points here, 1, 2, 3, should have been here. That's where our floor should be. And when we get to that floor, buying comes in. And when we come back to the floor, there's very little volume coming in. Now, there's one other thing about this. We can draw our straights. Let's draw our straights. Let's see if we can collect any of those. Nope, too high. And the next one is going to be here from these 2 points. Yep, about right there. If there's going to be another support, maybe along this smaller area, let's duplicate that as a smaller key angle to the lower side. Here it is. There's our wick side. This is a smaller oscillation. This would be another health right here. So we start to feel good about this crypto. This most likely, if we're seeing selling, but we're not seeing the dump, then it tells the sellers, hey, you guys don't have to sell up here. You can get it actually, you can even get better prices down the street if you wait just a little bit longer. There's going to be a lot more better sellers. Oh, really? Yeah, really. Okay. This is a supply absorption. Are they really selling heavily compared to what they bought? It's hard to tell. It's definitely worth my attention. And if they're going to get at those prices, any person that was retail was trying to get out and taking profit, and then no, maybe retail's taking profit. Now where are they going to start feeling good? On top of these lines. On top of these lines. And then up here, they're going to feel good. So I'm going to say we need to now calculate the next top. If I'm in this crypto, I'm going to feel good. I have round structure here. I have round structure here. I'm going to draw those together. Here's the top. I'm going to connect that here, and therefore I'm looking for a higher price up there. So let's draw that professionally, and we'll finish up with this crypto. Here. Let's give this a different color. Let's make that smaller. Make it ice blue. Okay. Is there verification along this track? Well, look at the core here and the core here. It's along the same. That's possibly some of the verification we're looking for. Here is the next health above there. And oops, let's put this here. And let's put some prices on for you guys. So if I have this crypto, it is very possible that I have it at $5.57 and I might be able to take profit at $13. The money at the table for that trade is possible. The money is closer to, if you bought it at $4, you'd be able to possibly get 199, 188%. That's pretty good. If you paid today's prices, I'm not saying you guys should, but if you did, 145%. That's not bad. Everything in this video is never financial investment or trading advice of any kind. Everything's just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I eat red crayons for breakfast. Trading in the markets carries substantial risk. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, especially be aware against high leverage trading. Interesting.
I have a question. So it looks pretty healthy, and it doesn't seem necessary to take any profits right now, right? I got in at 40 cents, so I'm like over a 10x. And should I take profits?
It doesn't look like they're taking profits.
Definitely going up, huh?
Yeah, we want to see them taking profits. And if they were, it was back here and here. But the last time they had a chance to take profits, they didn't take profits. The next chance they have to take profits, which is along this track, it would be this week. And you got 1 day and 6 hours left to really know if they're really going to take profits or not. And there's a way we can actually test that and to show you and I'll show you that real quick. And that's to look on a daily chart the first time we hit it. So if we hit it today, then we can see if there's really high volume, maybe there's some profits taking. But that's when they would next take profits. Right there, $4.65. If we get the close above there, and if we get some pullback, especially if the pullback's either on no demand or really ramping up in volume on that way back down, but we stop, then you know that there's another buying going on, and you want to definitely hold on for 13. Hold on for dear life. Not for dear life. I can't promise that. I can't promise anything in the markets. But yeah, especially if you're up 10x, you're going to feel a little bit nervous because it's going to feel like a big profit to you. But if you go up another 100%, you're going to be up more than 10x if you're in a leverage trade. Okay. I'm not telling people to leverage trade. I need to double check things. And something else that puts this more in context. Something else that puts this more in context. Look at our old support here. Way back here. Look at that old support right back here. Some of those people were going to be taking profits naturally at those levels. So especially if we saw, here's not so huge volume, but if they were if these people bought and they were losing money for many years, they were in the negative. They're going to take these people who bought here and they're just like, I want out. One of their psychological levels to take profit is going to be here. So it makes sense why there would be a lot of volume here. Now at that time, there was no major campaign going on. So these people were the only market that was. But that's where they should naturally start looking to dump. So it makes it more sense that this is a supply absorption area. So I'm going to say we're probably going to be looking closer to 13. And another reason we're looking for 13 is it's the all-time highs too. You know what I mean? So with more degree of certainty, we can see that everything seems to be pointing towards 13 or even 15 if we're really being honest, which is closer to the all-time high. So if you're taking profit closer to 13, 14, 15, and if 15 is the vortex in December 2nd, this is positive dynamic. So you guys who are trading Ray, if this breakout continues, you're likely going to see probably that 13 price. I would hold out. I would risk it for the biscuit. if it was me. But this was never financial investment or trading advice of any kind. Okay. One last thing. I want to see if we hit that number earlier in the week. That would have been good. Yep, we did. We sure did. We sure did, Lisa. And look at the ultra high volume here. But look at the volume on the next candles too. It's already after the fact. This may be part of the push. If I saw like ultra high volume on a down bar, or sorry, on that up bar, and then we experienced some down bars and it was only at that level, most of that would be selling. But now, if that volume lessens and we continue to stay up here, that's probably going to be helping to create elation for those people who should have got out, but they were like, oh, I'm making money now? Oh, I'll just hold out longer. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good sign for me. Any other questions for Ray? You guys, Ray traders, you. Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah, 15 vortex is December. Yeah, closer to December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th through the 12th, somewhere around there. Man, that's a good one. If I would like a pullback to $4, and then I'll maybe take the trade. I'm going up too fast for my blood. I want to pull back. I definitely want to pull back. I know people are probably going to be excited to see it go there. In a bullish market, that's where you probably want to be. But I want to be on that side of the market, especially if the supply has been absorbed along that flat. Now, how is it looking on this parabolic? Still high. That was the first high. That was the second high right there. So lots of volume. And now, if we get this push and we can maintain these volume levels to stay above, that would be really good, because that means that even this parabolic has removed its supply. And that's a good sign for higher prices. Okay. That means that everyone's okay, let's let it go high. We're not going to sell. They're not participating, so there's not going to be a lot of supply orders to have sold at $4. Okay. Anyone else? Questions, thoughts, comments? Ray, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to do well. Weakness will appear underneath these areas. I can't force this market to do anything, guys, but the odds, may the odds ever be in your favor. Where's that from? You know,
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games? I tried to watch that one, but I kept leaving to the concession stand when I went to the movie theater to see that one. I kept getting too hungry.
Funny, Pastor, funny.
All right. Anyone else? Superfood says always take profit. Looking for 5,000 and getting out. Its program drop mid 50K. Yeah. I would say you guys are probably going to see some interesting action at 15, possibly there. Okay.
I have a dream I just remembered, so would you let me know?
Yeah. Sure. You want me to push pause, or is it okay?
I don't mind.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a short one. I was sleeping, clearly, and there was something after me, and I couldn't quite tell, but it kept trying to find me, evil. But you were standing up, watching, and I don't know what you said, but you were, because your presence was there teaching, it was holding back whatever was trying to come to me. And even if I escaped, it's like it would figure out where I was, and I never saw what it was, but I know it was evil presence. And so it didn't, I wasn't harmed or anything, but I could see you standing in the gap and helping to fend it off.
Amen.
The end. Yes.
Resist the devil, he must flee. The Bible says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Sometimes all it takes is declaring the word of God out loud over your life, over others. You guys yourself can be speaking the scripture over others, speaking life over others. It's not just about knowledge or wisdom or any of that stuff. Although some churches, they make it all about wisdom and things. The Bible says the kingdom of heaven is not a matter of talk, but a matter of power. And you notice that Jesus, when he was fasting, and the enemy's presence came to him, he overcame him by what? Saying, it is written. It is written. Mm-hmm. It's not a specific scripture. It's the faith that comes out to the power that what happens when you release or when you speak God's word. And when you speak God's word, the Bible says it does not return to him void. And when God spoke, let there be light, Jesus was created. Light. He was the light of the world. He is light. He is the word that came out of God. He is the living embodiment. He is himself, God. And when we are speaking the scripture, we are releasing Jesus in a way. His spirit, the power that goes behind his word over others and over life and over our sleep, over our dreams. And sometimes in our dreams we can sense what's really happening in our life. Sometimes we're being targeted. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and Pastor Keith called me, and I told him this story. He said, Pastor Keith called me while I was leaving Australia or going to Australia, one of them, years back. And he said to me, hey, there's some people targeting you. They're going to try to do something at the airport. I've seen this in my spirit, and I confirmed it with somebody who's a close personal prophetic person in his life. And he says, they're going to try to stop you at the airport. They're trying to do all this stuff. They're watching you. And they have like evil intentions. And I said, I've seen that before in my life. And he said, but let's pray right now. Would you pray with me? We prayed. And he was like, I put a stop in Jesus' name to all the assignments that are against him. Blind those eyes of those witches, about those evil people. Blind them, confuse them, bring confusion upon them. And turn it back on them. And I felt so much peace going into the airport. No one stopped me at all. Except for, I shouldn't say that. One of the security guys kept asking me lots of questions towards the end. I don't know if it was supposed to be him or not. But I just answered his questions, and he looked at me and, and he went away. The Lord will always confound the enemy. And though they think and though they have plans, God's plans are greater. The enemy always has plans. The world, all the stuff that's happening in the world, the enemy has plans. Yeah, I know. And it's one thing to know him. The Bible says, be not ignorant of the devil's devices. But just because he knows his plans doesn't mean God doesn't have his plans. We can speak God's plans over something. And when the enemy comes against us, we raise a standard against him. We overcome him. And so therefore we don't have to walk with so much fear. We don't have to walk with fear at all. We can just walk in faith. And when he comes, we remember to put him in his place. And you have to stand like that. Okay? Sometimes you have to do wisdom. You have to move here, especially if God tells you. But when they try to tell Jesus, don't you understand? The government's trying to kill you. Herod, he's trying to kill you. And Jesus said, you tell that fox that I'm going to work today. I'm going to work tomorrow. On the third day, I'm going to go. Meaning, in other words, I'm going to go when I'm good and ready and when I'm done and on my terms. When you walk with the Lord, he tries to bring things against you and tell you all his plans. You tell him the plans of God. Remember, the keys of the kingdom are yours. God could do it all magically, wave his hand, but he doesn't. He says, I confer upon you a kingdom. He already has this kingdom in heaven. But he said, let's make man in our own image and let's give him dominion over the whole earth. And yeah, we lost it, but Jesus bought it back for us. And now he gives it to us, and it's up to us. We can just say, oh yeah, the enemy's going to do this and do that. And we speak more what the enemy's going to do. And again, I understand, because sometimes we have to know wisdom or how to move or how to navigate. But we spend more time talking about the news and the situation rather than we speak about what God is going to do or what God's doing. And sometimes we have to speak out of faith. And sometimes we have to speak out of the obedience of the Lord. And sometimes we have to ask God, hey, what's your will in this situation? And once we know it, then we speak it and we declare it and we prepare. And that way we walk and live our lives according to. We can speak scriptures that has alignment with those things. Now, we're not going to be all cocky and we're not overly confident. We follow his will. But once we know what he's saying about the situation, pray about that. Pray. Because sometimes the Lord may say, hey, I know you're praying against this, but there's still a tornado coming in your house and you need to move because I want you to move. Maybe God will do things like that. But you need to be with the Lord in those kinds of things. Don't be like an individual soldier not listening for the general's command. He's our general. And if God says, we don't want to have needless casualty of war. But when we know God's will, stand on his side and raise up a standard against that enemy. Amen?
Amen.
When I last looked at this crypto, we were measuring this oscillation here. Okay, it's similar to how we were doing here. So this was the major oscillation. This was our key angle. This was our phantom area. This was part of our verification. We measured the distance between here and here, between the key angle and the phantom, which is our oscillation, price moving up and down. And we duplicated that distance on top, and therefore we were able to calculate with a higher degree of certainty where the next resistance is supposed to be. And it was supposed to be along this track. Now that number at the time was this number dynamic, 5062 dynamic minus. And that means that as time goes on, that number lowers. So I already gave you guys a sample. At that day we did it, it was about way up there. But we also gave you guys the number and how it would look closer to September 30th. And that was this number here. Okay. Because of that number, that's how we measured. That number was a lot lower than our first time. So we don't ever trade based on price alone. We trade based on the angle, because with the angle, we know where stuff should happen. Now, sure enough, once we got to the angle, we were trying to get smashed down, but eventually a health overcame, and there's our breakout. So our new oscillation, therefore, can be reclassified in some ways, that this is the mid-phantom, that was a phantom, and then this is our key angle. But you can just keep them as a mid-phantom and two phantoms. Now, the last breakout, therefore, was here. Where's the sword cut? Anybody? Where's the sword cut? There. Good job, iPad. Who's iPad? Put your name so I know who you are. There's the sword cut.
I think I know who iPad is.
Oh, is that you, House? Okay. So that's House.
Yeah, he worked for the government.
Oh.
He moved from place to place with an iPad, the A-team, and he could have a voice that he could be on the radio with to make a fortune.
So we now know this could be a place where there might be some health. And we got how many bounces on there? 1, 2. That's good. Okay. Now, did we come down from this point? Yeah, from a mount perspective. So we had this energy center and this energy center. What do we do next with these? What do we do with this information to build a map?
Draw the trend lines.
Yeah, we draw the trend lines. We connect the dots. Look, 1, 2 here. That's an added angle. We duplicate that angle, and we're gonna bring it down to that third energy center. So now I have a higher degree of certainty. If I'm trying to get some real low prices, or during a bearish market, I might be looking for lower prices down here. Or if I had a reason that I would believe price could go there, it could go. We might be looking at there. So we went up on a certain area. So let's just draw that real quick, and then continue. Let's give this a color. We already used that color, so let's use yellow. Generally, I like yellow for the parabolics, but it's okay. Okay. Now we'll delete some of these smaller ones. They're not as important anymore. Or we'll lower their colors. So now we are left with something like this. Not bad for FEFE-kins. Now with this crypto, so far, that might be good place from the map sitting on a sword cut. What about where weakness would appear? Somebody show me where weakness appears on this map. Besides firecracker. Somebody show me where weakness appears. How do we know when it's like, ooh, we might want to take profits on this, maybe. Or things might get a little negative. Sure, vest box highlight underneath here. Where else? That might be one from a map perspective. Why I'm eating a bite of pumpkin pie. Mid-phantom. We can draw mid-phantom. That's one. There's another one. Mid-phantom could be here. It could be a possible support, weakness. We can draw the step up. The next step up might be about right there. Let's just borrow this gray one. There's our step up. So we know that's our halfway point from here to here where we cross over. And so that might be a support down here if prices fall a little bit lower. Underneath might be some weaknesses. There's one more big weakness that we have. Okay. Somebody's drawing here. Those are the circles. Yep, we can draw them. I'm looking to see. There's another map point before I really put down some of my larger circles. Yeah, that's going to be a weakness. And above here could be a health. So we know, hey, if I'm above here, I might want to buy it. There we go. Who got the yellow one? Who was that? I missed it. Who drew that? Did you guys see them drawing it? Look at that. That was you. Good job.
Yeah. I have a question. Can a DP projection have also then a shortcut? We call it short. This one. This.
An additional one, like up there?
This one. Can a DP projection have also then a short? How you call that?
A step up?
No. This or this one. What's the name for it?
Can you circle it so I can see what it is? Sword cut. Yeah.
Shortcut, yes.
Yes.
Can DP, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was not this first thing I can do.
Yeah. I don't really teach them too much, but yes, they can. Because if you really think about the oscillation, anytime that price is really oscillating and it breaks, there's a sword cut that's created. And it's just prices within prices within prices. So that's why they all are interconnected and overlap, and many of the same principles just repeat over and over again. Okay, so from a perspective of us going up, this might be a bottom, that might be a bottom, and that may be a bottom. And we got 3 areas here that may tell us, there's another support closer to that, that this may actually be a little bit negative for price at the moment, because price can get trapped in here. So if we're here we're buying, we want to have a good reason to buy, or we want to definitely buy at an area of there's health. So I definitely want to make sure that there's health before I throw some more money at my dog Fifi, or sorry, Superfood's dog Fifi. So I'm going to say that at the very least, I really want to try to buy maybe somewhere, maybe above the next up here and above the parabolic here. So let's, since I already used yellow, I'll use ice blue for the next parabolic. It might be something like this on the other side. I would like that. That'd be great. If I see it here, that could be good. But then I do have to be aware of that top still. Okay. Now, if I have reason to believe I can beat it, that's great. But at least I know where the map point is. So from a map perspective, these are probably some of the more active areas that might be available. Now, before I put on price, I want to now read volume real quick and just recover what might be some of the things happening. What was happening down here at the bottom with all this ultra high volume? Buying coming in. Let's mark this on the map with we're using arrows today. I think arrows are better because they let us type in here. We can say buying coming in. So we're going to put that with our white bar. Let's see. Check something else. This is something that's interesting. When we are up here, we can see that there was some selling that was happening in the micro. Okay, meaning on the individual candles. I'm going to point out a few places where it started happening. Selling. All these up bars, up moves. Selling. Selling. All of these bars and moves here along this track is selling, followed by weakness. Now, the reason I point this in the micro, let me see if I can make my screen a little more clear for you guys, okay? The reason I point these in the micro is that we can understand something that's happening here. I will need to compare the amount of buying that was really happening compared to how much selling is really happening and what's really happening with the selling overall. Did you guys notice something that's happening with the selling as we're going up? Even though they're selling on the individual bars, something is also happening as a whole. What is happening as a whole?
Volume's drying up.
The volumes, it's decreasing. Okay, not necessarily drying up. There's still a lot, but it's decreasing. So it makes it harder and harder to try to sell at a higher price if there's running out of opportunities. You could say, I'm gonna, let's see, what's a good example? Dating market in China. So many women in their late 40s holding out, saying, hey, I want a huge diary, even though I don't have as many eggs, and I want a huge diary, and you gotta have a house, you gotta have a car, and they host this big wedding event, or this big event, thousands of women showing up to this event, and virtually no men, like literally virtually no men. In one event, there was no men at all. In another one, there was only 2 men that showed up. Insane. So they're holding out for a higher price, but what's happening? The lack of sellers, right? And lack of buyers. Nobody wants to sell it, back and buy anymore. Okay. The same concept that happens in these events. By the way, that's this crazy scenario, right? That's true. A very, very true story. You guys can look it up. Shenzhen. I think it's Shenzhen, right? When we have a lot of sellers, but their lack of buyers are drying up, we can also view this small selling with weakness. It also, we need to remember the down move, and they can put this in context, and I'll help you put this in context. It is very much the same similar pattern that happens during a supply absorption or a larger test in an up move. Is there a lot of supply in there? Yeah. Is there a lot of supply up there? No, not so much. If they do one more and there's virtually no supply, then now they're ready for higher prices. And don't be surprised if this crypto does really well and Superfood has a great day with his new dog FEFEkins because the supply was removed at the top. Now, if I see and I'm there at this price and I see very high volume and I'm actually seeing a difference in the trend, I'm seeing the trend ramping up instead of coming down. What do I know? It tells me primarily something big is happening, that there's too much of a market of sellers. It's going to be very hard to expect higher prices. If I come back here and I say even more volume, I know they're fully dumping. And I need to clearly watch for weakness. But if I see just the opposite happening, I know to pay attention a little bit closer. So what is the opposite that is happening right now? That possibly is happening. I'll give it to you. In a simplistic sense, selling is happening short term. It's very possible these are the retail traders who bought here, like you and me, who said, I want a profit. I want to take profit. Okay? They may be taking profit. and that's where you should take profit. But once all of those people are gone and you didn't really come down, that's the secret. When all those sellers are gone and you didn't really come down, you need to pay attention, especially if after all of this small selling is being absorbed, then you see big money come in, just like we saw with, I think it was Sheena. We saw all the selling go away, and then what happened? Then buying came. Was it Sheena? It was this week. I'm gonna pull it for you guys because this is a classic example. It's a good teaching moment. The big money came in after the fact with one large crypto recently. Was it Mudang? Yeah, it was Mudang. Mudang was in an uptrend and selling started happening, but the selling was very much little. And then all of a sudden, after the fact, after the selling, not before. Okay, sorry, not before. After the selling happened, and somebody saw that, hey, there's no supply up there. Big money came into it. Look at how much money came in. Huge, massive money came into Mudang. And they bought in this column right there in that section. And then when we come back in again, they buy up all the supply. There's nothing left to buy. They're not afraid of the enemy. They say, hey, the enemy's weak. We can beat this enemy. We can do this. And they did it. And then price moves into health and they're ready for the up move. And the up move is quite simple, and it's easier for them to make money, and it's probably going to be easier for them to crack this top. That's why I'm actually thinking for anyone with Mudang, you're probably going to experience higher prices up there. So we did that, you know what I mean? And this is probably one of those scenarios where we don't have buying coming in after, but we need to be looking for it. If it's going to come in, it's going to come in at sword cut. So even though technically this is a weak point on a map, it may not be a weak point in regard to the whole situation, if that's the case, okay? If this is the resistance. Now, if I saw that volume ramping up, I'm going to be more scared. But right now, this down move is the big clue. This down move is going down on lack of interest, okay? Lower volume. Now, we have some higher volume here, or maybe on that, but it's up thrust, and then we come down here, and maybe there's very little interest here. So if we're going down on lack of volume, I just want to wait for a health to appear. I want to wait for some new buying. I want to see some more money come into the fact. And then I'm going to be more convinced to buy. And then I'm not going to be as scared as this top. Otherwise, I'm just going to be taking profit here, be optimistically hopeful. I get back to the yellow, low volume. It's on, baby. I'm going to look for higher prices because we're in a buller market. Okay, at the moment, if you guys are looking for a floor, the floor is going to be closer to these prices. Do I have any other questions, comments regarding FEFE at the moment? So at the moment, I'm not so scared of this area. I wouldn't want to buy right now because of the positioning. I want to wait sure I'm in the next area of health. Then maybe I got a shot at it. I would want to read the RSI, see if there's a strong pullback. And this has a good pullback. Look at that. Look at that. That's nice. Here was the first move. Little tiny pullback here in price, but major pullback in RSI. So you have RSI pullback. This is bullish.
Jason?
Yes, sir.
Those numbers are not, they're different.
They're different than yours?
Yeah, it's 0.1. It's a penny.
Okay, you're looking at the penny one. Okay, this one is in wrapped ETH. Did I look at this on another one too? Now you tell me, Superfood. I think we used the wrapped ETH one to do it.
Oh, I didn't see the number.
I have a different contract. Contract AD in the end.
What do you call it? VCAD?
I will put it in the chat. This is the contract.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep. I think it's the map I used last time for FEFE.
I think you have to go to Dex.
But the numbers are going to be different because it's in wrap. If it's completely different, then it's different. But in wrapped ETH, the price is going to look a lot different.
It is the correct contract address.
Okay.
BAB8 on the end. And you have A6, A2.
Okay, let's pull that up here. Where's the search bar? There it is. Yeah, 50. Okay, this one's different right here. Let's take a look. Okay, this one giving me a little bit different information in the volume. Mostly the same, but some different stuff. So let me see if I can give it to you. Here. This is your sword cut. It's going to be, I'll draw you the work real quick. Your sword cut is actually a lot lower. For this one, 0006. breakouts of health for this one, closer to that number. The number is 0.032 superfood. You need to get above there for the next big one. This one still has health in the structure with signs of weakness appearing. Almost the same, almost identical, if not identical. Yep. Almost identical, if not identical superfood. So this is a bearish structure at the moment. It gives us more probability that we're going to be going down, but your next health is above the same where I drew it last time. So it's almost identical to where we drew it last time, which means your next health is not far away. It's actually and your step up is about the same area sword cut, so I won't bother drawing it. And in the volume, buying is not as apparent, at least on this DEXtools one. However, short selling is. Here's another example of supply absorption. Same area, we're selling, but look at the volume. Drying up in a strong way. They're ready for the push. Big push into health. That one right there, guys. This bar right there. Look at the volume on that chart, and then what happens right after it. Why this big volume, and then we can rest on there? Why? Because that's your pushing volume. They want higher prices. When you see that, make sure that accumulation is in the background or afterwards. And in this case, we can see that this is the down move. This was the ramping up of small buying. So this is going to be where the buying came in. So this is very, very good. Now, I want to be making sure that if they're taking profit now, there may be some selling here, but we come down on lack of interest. Selling again, higher prices. Selling, but the selling's about the same. So in this case, I'm going to be more concerned with probably taking profit here, superfood, in this example, because the supply is about the same, which means when we challenge it, we may get the pullback. So I'm going to say that you probably want to be taking profit with the more confidence. It's less likely you're going to get the breakout for this one just yet. Okay. Now, if we come up here and the supply is really low, once you do, then you're going to say to yourself, hey, I might want to hold out. But if you see like really high volume, especially if the candles are closing right along the line, then you want to have you want to be thinking more to take profit. Okay. I'm going to put a little text for you for the people you're sharing this with. It could be a very bullish thing. You'll see the sentiment change. There'll be people less interested in selling at that time. But right now, all the volume that's been at those areas is still pretty high. You know what I mean? So they're not really interested in, somebody's got orders there. So it's really hard for them to push it higher right now, even if you do get up there. So if you get an entry, the entry would be here. If you can take that money and make the money, you probably want to only trade it to there and back in the first run, at least in the near future. And then we can examine that again. But if you see the volume low, let me see if I can put this in a little text for you.
That's that .032?
Yeah, patreon.com/JSong
Pretty much double where we at right now.
7. Yeah. Currently the next entry. Oh, you know what, dude? Let's see. I'll see if I can. Yeah, I'll put it here along the top. Currently the next entry. What happened? Currently the next entry above 0.014, but not yet. There is a strong likely rejection along 0.032 areas of the selling in the VSA, or I should say the supply as shown in the VSA. This makes, if prices rise rapidly, look for one more pullback. However, the next part. However, if price reaches 0.032 without much supply, then look for much higher prices for FEFE. And I'll just put my November 9th, 2024 www.patreon.com/JSong_7. Yeah, superfood like that? Okay. So give them that, your friends who were asking about that earlier. Okay. All right.
All right, thank you, Jason.
You're welcome, guys. All right, Pepe. Here's a map of Pepe. Let me clear some lines. This is the DP projection has already been hit to the downside. We were experiencing, this is complicated, so I'm going to just make it really simple. There's our key angle, 2 energy centers, 1 and 2. Third energy center here. This is our oscillation. When we were performing underneath here, we're looking primarily to go down if we have reasons to go down. I was looking to go down. We took the distance between here and duplicated the distance, both conservatively and based on the meat. And also, here's a weekly chart. This is probably going to make it look a little bit more simpler. Okay. Nope. 1 week. Yeah. Here's a more simplistic look. Okay. So based on this oscillation, the meat was about right there on that distance. And then the wick side was here. So we duplicate this distance and duplicated this distance. I put them here and I put them here. So that means that once we started coming up here, I knew that I want to only short this crypto in a bearish market down to here. But the concern is that number rises over time. So we got to remember that number rises. So depending on the day, the day that it's going to hit, we can actually calculate the exact price. So when it hit this day, August 24th, the support should have been around that day. So at that time, the number was here, but when we hit it, this was the support for that day, and that was August 5th. So for this crypto Pepe, the support is along this track, and that was the support. We did end up hitting both the conservative support and the liberal support. The liberal more than conservative. We hit it 1, 2, 3 times. And then now what's happening is we're building even below that. So is that a sign of health for me? Absolutely not. That's a sign of weakness primarily. Okay, so we don't want to read the VSA and see if we can extract some more information. But if we have reasons to believe it's going down during those days, you want to listen to that. But we can just put in our notes, DP projections hit. So I don't always draw GP projections anymore. We draw them if we have a reason to believe they're going to get hit. Otherwise, you guys can draw them. It's too much to draw every line in the method. Okay, but that's something we need to know. Now, let's clear this up a little bit. Somebody, you want to help Jeff where the health is? When is Jeff more okay to buy this crypto? Jeff, are you long this crypto right now? Or are you leaning long? Or are you just looking at it? Or what's going on?
No, I was looking at the VSA.
Okay.
It shows that it looks like somebody is selling it.
Okay, looks like somebody's selling it. Okay. Does anybody know where Jeff buys this crypto at? If he's going to buy it or try to take profit at? Anybody want to draw where he buys it at? Circle the area. Good job. InvestBox got it perfectly. That's where you want to buy it if you're in that territory. If you're going to sell it, where do you sell it at? Same territory. Okay. Along this on the underside. Okay. A lot of that is determined by what? By the foundational area. So if we're in a downtrend, we want to look how it started. What started? What's at the base? If I'm going to climb a tall tower, I want to make sure that, and I see it on one little peg, I'm going to be like, oh, forget that. Get me out of here. We look at the foundation, right? Same way. If I see a chair, but there's only one leg on one side and it don't look right, forget that. He who builds his house upon the sand, what? The house fell and great was the crash thereof. So these numbers can all come down along the track. And it's still correct, right? We drew that back then. Now we're just going to extend it. Look, it was right here and it's here. We already knew the resistance. And now again, don't you guys love being here? Don't you guys love these charts? Hope these charts help you. By the way, where's the floor at? If somebody's selling it, where is the price that it's probably going to fall to right now? Somebody show Jeff where the floor is at. Does Jeff know?
Is it extreme?
Could be. That's one of them. Where's the other one? There's another one. There you go. Good job. You guys see what InvestBox drew? Duplicate this area. Bring it down, straight down. Is there verification that is correct? You bet your grandmother. Look at the core. Look at the core here. Look at the wick here. If you bring it here, there's verification and there's verification. You owe your grandmother $10. But she missed your birthday anyway, so you can keep that money. Forgive your grandmother. Don't harbor resentment. Oh, I'm so funny. I make myself laugh. Okay. Now, if this is your new map, we have another support. He drew it. It was this one right there, right? Is there verification for that one? What did he do? Peak, round structure, verification. Where's his support supposed to be? Along that track. Did he draw it? He probably did. Did he make that money in between? Maybe, if he's micro trading. You could do stuff like that if you want to. If you have reasons to buy. I don't like to buy anything, even micro trading, unless have reasons to believe it's going to go up in the macro. Did anybody notice something else happening about this? Should I step back? Are you guys seeing something else forming here? Do you see it? Just say Pepe goes really bullish tomorrow. Did you guys catch it? Look at this. Here it is. I'm going to draw it for you. Did you see that? Here's an oscillation. What happens here at this oscillation? What am I supposed to draw right here? Anybody remember? What is it?
A mid-phantom, no?
We can do that. We can do tech. Yeah, we can do that one. There's something else that happens here. You guys remember? It starts with the T. This would be the tiger line. That mid-phantom isn't. The undercut. Who got that? Armand?
Yeah, that's me.
Good job. Yeah, we would draw a thundercut here, and because you guys can use those in the sky. We used one, actually, I think it was for silver itself. And they help us understand where resistance is supposed to be. Because you said, I can't verify, I can't use that forward, but price moves forward and backwards. You can, or sorry, price doesn't move forward and backwards. Price can be verified forward and backwards. And you can use that to your advantage. If I'm looking for another support in the future, if price really falls, I wouldn't be surprised if price falls to those areas. And I'll be like, why did price fall there? And if you watch really carefully, you can be like, oh, that's why. Because you had supports there. If you can see them forming, you know where they're at. By the way, let's just finish up this map, and I'll throw some reading on there. But there's your mid-phantom. So here we go. So there's our our mid-phantom. In this case, we call it a tiger. I can use that for tops and bottoms, or price to read oscillations in between. I can use them preemptively. If this is a bottom, I know that's going to be my top. I can do things like that. But primarily, I'm going to be using those once the oscillation's broken. Okay, so that means that once I start trading outwardly, or if the oscillation gets too wide. For example, if it goes too wide and we spend too much time here, I'll be looking for support along that track. That's a little advanced. I'm just giving you guys that preemptively, okay? We can use that, and I'll leave that on my chart in case we need to use that in the future. If price is going up too fast, I can use those in lieu of my tops. Tiger. It's an advanced thing, but I love tigers. Here's the other one. I will preemptively just draw two on there on the top side in case we do become bullish. And I'll just highlight them real quick in orange. 1, 2, floor. I'll give it to you the ones on the floor. This one's already being hit right now. And the other one will be a little bit lower here. Okay, so I'll just leave those up, and then I'll put my tiger back in the cage.
Do we look at targeting system for this one?
You'd only be looking at this top section here, but you can, and I won't. If I had a bigger range to use it, like maybe within this range. If we're looking on the bottom side, then yeah. But I want to look at the volume real quick. Okay, there was volume in that whole area. That's good. I want to measure what's happening here. Pump. There's a lot of money trying to pump this. So there was some buying that happened here, and no demand here. The next health was from that area was right there. The supply was about right here for that area. Okay, then we came down. It was still on high volume supply, and came up one more time high, and we had one more time lower, and here higher. This push is, I don't believe this push is going to have what it takes to get us to a new high at the moment. So I'm going to say I'm holding back. I believe there's still a lot of supply left, but if there was a push, it needs to happen now. But I think there's going to be too much people willing to take profits in these areas. I measured the VZB in this section, compare all along this track, and I'm just seeing too much volume. So even though it's a good price to buy, I think that there's going to be immediate profit taking. I don't think I have enough accumulation to really launch a campaign. Yeah. Because if anything, the volume's still ramping up on these up moves. There was the buying here, and that's good. And that's here. And there was low volume here, and they thought, okay, we drained the supply, but the top still has too much supply in here. So they had to bring it back down again. They brought it back down again, but not enough buying there's not enough juice in here. I think they need to push really hard just to try to get above. So therefore, I'm going to say it's too risky for me to buy this right now. I don't want to buy this just yet, even if I had some more stronger reasons to buy. I'm going to say getting above there right now is going to be risky. don't risk it for the biscuit. Just like the map, let somebody else push it for you. You pay a better price. If anything, chalk it up to premium. At the very least, at the very most, or least, you guys should say, I want to not be greedy. I don't need to just buy it here and chase a candle up here. This could be a type of weaknesses, and we could see this thing get slammed back down until it's properly bought, or until there's a real reason for us to get it, okay? Pepe, hold off on Pepe. If it goes up right here with still supply, okay, it can, but I'm risking it right now. I'm risking it, okay? Oh, there's one more bind here that was back here. So that's a good thing. Let me just mark those with my flag real quick so I remember for next time. Do I have any other questions on Pepe? Yeah, in just a moment. Yeah, that would have been the opportune time. That may have been the opportune time because you got some buying, right? And then you got some more buying, and then you finally get no demand along the track. So you're like, oh yeah, now's my time to push. But that should have been the big clue that it's not ready. That's a big clue. So retail market is probably going to take some profit, get them out of the market, launch one more buying maybe along that track at this price down there. 0.0008. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, 8. So I'm going to be looking at that price. It's probably a more attractive price. I'll circle it. More attractive. I'm going to put alert. So I want to set an alert there, and then I'll zoom out for you. Pepe at a lower price. Look for possible entry. Look for more buying or no demand in the volume. So I don't mind paying a lower price at the closer, as long as I'm still above there and I see some more buying coming in. I'll feel like more comfortable. They're going to try push it one more time, and then I'll be happy if we can get above there. Otherwise, I'll just buy the crypto up there and then take some trades up to that 36, that 0.004036, and make a lot of money, I think, because that's a 200%. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
MOG is it in a good position to buy now?
MOG? Yeah, I think so. It's been in I think it's good with long term. Let me check. No, not. It's in the place where you want to. If you're gonna buy it, it's gonna be along this track. That's what I put last time. In that, see the highlighter. That's where I think it'd be good to get if you're just gonna get a price for MOG. Let me see if I can put myself. There you go. The real entry is above here. You want to get some. This is a 2-day chart. Let me see. Here's a 1-day chart. We still haven't really closed above those areas, but these are the lower prices you can pay for them. If you're going to be getting a low price for it, you're going to pay closer to 5.017. Yeah. Okay. 5.017. The money that's really to be made above it, I believe, is from here to here, and then we need a real big break above here. And I believe that it's not going to be as scared at the top because of what I've seen in the volume. I actually believe that the supply is going to dry it up. Something that really concerns me though is that ultra high volume that is right here. I'm in the camp that right now it's a shakeout. So that means that it makes it more high probable we're going to see this here. This might be evidence that this would be health and it's possibly buying. The reason I'm not so convinced it is all selling is because the candle shape itself. It has a long wick on top, but also the long wick on bottom. So most likely we're probably in a shakeout. And when I'm usually doing things like this, I want more stronger candles telling me that story. So I don't have so much strong evidence of one way or another, but I'm in the camp that it's possibly a shakeout at a top in an uptrend. And I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, then I want to be looking for lower prices. But I'll know when the weakness appears because it's going to be underneath here, and that weakness hasn't appeared yet. So therefore, I'm not like super bearish or anything. Yeah, this one's still on my long term that it should do well. Anyone else?
I had a question about these market makers or speculators and such. Who do they work for? And have you ever met any of them? And they have to be very technically savvy, like you. Just how many people are there out there that know this skill and stuff?
You'd be surprised. They don't have to be technically savvy. Personally, I don't know any of them personally, but I've read a lot of stories about them. And if you read VSA books or if you read VSA materials over the years or you've been taught by VSA teachers, they talk about them quite a bit. They're not exactly the market makers, but the market makers are the ones who actually run the actual auction. They don't set the prices. They just find the balance where's the balance of the prices. and they fill orders. All they do is match, and most of them are run by algorithms. So those are not the people that actually do the manipulating in that sense. In the sense we're talking about VSA, which is the good manipulation. Okay, I'm not talking about like algorithms fudging the numbers and stuff. I'm talking about like the real manipulations. Now there may be algorithms that are programmed to do the desires and wills within the boundaries of VSA, but those types of people who are really the ones who, the big players on the board, I think those players are primarily the ones who play the game this way are the large funds. And you don't have to be technically savvy, and I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that once you have $10 million, if you put an at-limit order, or if you put an at-market order for $10 million for a buying, you're going to drive up the price, but you're the only person buying. So you're going to drive it up, and you're going to find yourself paying a higher price, and you are buying. So in other words, you're raising the price against your own buying. In the same way, you don't have to be a rocket scientist or genius. All you just have to do it one time, and you'll know at any high dollar amount. If you have a crypto or a stock or a forex and you sell it, and you're the only primary seller at that price, you're going to drop prices against your own selling. So you want to sell it for a high price, but you're going to find that you're the only one filling those orders. So it's going to keep trying to bring your order to fill it. So that's how you do. So that's how at market works. So you can't ever really buy at market in bulk. Your order won't fulfill. Even with you guys buy like 1,000, it'll take maybe a half an hour to a couple hours, 4 hours just to fulfill an order for a few $100s. You find that the only way you can actually do it is in chunks and pieces. So now you learned an important part of the equation. If you know that the big players buy in chunks and in pieces, you can actually see those pieces on the board being placed, and you can see them being moved away, placed and being moved away. Once you read that, you can actually read them and see those being placed in trends, and then you can see them being removed in trends. So you actually will find that some of these people who do those who trade those big orders, they may not be that market savvy at all. Now, there's certain things that they do, you have to play the game correctly to win, and maybe in that case they are, but in the fact that what they do is actually not that market savvy. And that's why they're looking for skilled people as well. I will tell you that if you're going to play the game, you have to play in chunks, but you have to know, if you want to be successful playing in those big chunks, you can't just be throwing money like a retail. You are going to have to be smart. You're going to have to know primarily what's happening and how to launch successful campaigns. Otherwise, most of the way that Tom Williams explained it was they used to meet together in secret meetings and primarily do this only in the stock market. And they had secret meetings. They known them as the trading syndicates. So basically, you are a trader with your big hedge firm and you have all these high profile clientele, and you're in league with that community down there, and they're in that community, and those trading syndicates would actually get together in private and launch campaigns on cryptos. They would pick cryptos that were just in the dumps, and they would launch buying campaigns that took sometimes several years, but then they would drive up the prices, and then they would launch their distribution campaign and slowly pass it off when the news was really great. So that's how those buying and selling, how the big players actually did it. And they wrote plenty of it. Trading in the Shadows of the Smart Money by Gavin Williams is one of the best books talking about some of those things. And Tom Williams wrote a lot of he wrote I think it was 93 manuscripts over the years of his years in the stock market, something like that, just discussing case after case study of what was actually happening behind the scenes and those manipulations. But it's basically targeting and showing up on the VSA.
Yeah, thank you.